Hello, my dear students. A very good morning to each and everyone. Hope you guys are all doing good. Hope you guys are all perfectly fine. So sorry, I'm unable to take the early morning session. So I was on some medication, so it was I was very drowsy. So I woke up in the morning, but I'm unable to take up the lecture. So that's why I have texted in the group in the last moment so that we will have a session around 11 in the morning. So sorry for that delayed intimation. But anyhow, yeah, so now we will have our today's discussion. So as I've told, by 11 we will start. So now it's already 11. So we'll commence our discussion now. Right. So thanks for joining everybody. So where exactly did we stop our discussion in the previous session? What we have exactly understood in the previous class? So in the immediately previous session, we have completed discussing one of the most important standard and very easy standard. But the thing is that standard will be easy only when you get the conceptual clarity. So which standard was that? What was the last standard which we have discussed? So the last standard which we have discussed was SA 710. So what does SA 710 talk about? SA 710 talk about comparative information, and that comparative information is divided into two categories. Number one is corresponding figures and the other one is comparative financial statements. So we have seen in a detailed manner what exactly is the meaning of comparative information and what do you mean by corresponding figures and what do you mean by comparative financial statements? What are the differences between the two? What will be the reporting responsibilities in the case of consolidated figures? What will be the responsibilities of the auditor in the case of comparative financial statements? What are the common audit procedures which we have to perform? So everything, even we try to summarize all that discussion in the form of some simple charts which will help us to get the overall conceptual clarity in a detailed manner. So that is what we have basically discussed in our previous session. So I'm not going into the revision in a detailed manner. Why? Because revising the standard is like teaching the entire standard once again. So that's why I'm not spending the time on the revision now. So directly we'll proceed ahead with the today's discussion. So today, as I have told, we are going to talk about a chapter called quality control. Very simple chapter, very small chapter. In this session itself, we'll try to wind up this chapter, quality control. So now in this session only, we'll start discussing about this quality control, and in the today's session itself, we'll try to complete the chapter quality control also. Very small standard, very easy standard, very small chapter, very easy chapter, and at the same time important from the examination perspective. So, and what is the scope of this chapter? What exactly we are going to cover? What will be the scope of this chapter? In this chapter also, we are going to learn standards on audit only. In this chapter also, we are going to learn a few standards only, and particularly in this particular chapter, there are two standards which we are going to cover. Number one, we are going to talk about a standard called SQC1. Apart from that, we are also going to talk about one more standard, SA 220. So both the standards will be more or less the same. So once we go into the technicalities of the discussion, you will realize what I am trying to say. But SQC1 and SA 220, those are the two standards which are forming part of this chapter. So when I tell you I'm going to teach you the chapter quality control, I'm going to teach you nothing but two simple standards. One is SQC1 and the other one is SA 220. And both the standards are talking about quality control. Both the standards are talking about quality control. Let us see what exactly is this chapter, what we are actually going to learn in this chapter. So let us try to first set out the agenda for this chapter. What exactly we are going to learn from this chapter. First, we will try to set it out. So for that, we will try to have some background discussion. See, as we all know, being a chartered accountant, so once we qualify our chartered accountancy examination, so we'll be having two options to choose our career. So one is either we can go for job, we can take the membership of the institute, we can apply for jobs, we can get a job in the entity, and we can provide the services, get our salary. So one more option which is available for a chartered accountant is you can carry out practice. You can start your own practice. So you can carry out a practice. So you can have your own firm, and through that firm you can provide various portfolio of services, various basket of services you can provide being a chartered accountant, and those services you can actually provide to the society. By providing those services to the societies, business entities and organizations, we can make a living in the society. And as I've already told you earlier, if you are a chartered accountant, you can offer a very broad range of services. It is not just one or two items, one or two services. It is not just that your scope is restricted to just one or two services. Being a chartered accountant, you can offer a very broad range of services. So what are the different range of services which we can provide? Number one, basically we can do audit. we can provide audit services to the society. We can act as an auditor, we can conduct the audit of the financial statements, we can conduct audit of various items of the financial statements, and by conducting the audit, by providing the audit services to the business entities and non-business entities, we can make money out of it. So audit is some professional area of service which we can provide, which we as a chartered accountants can provide. Audit is not the only service. We can provide various other services also, like we can provide review services. So no, we can provide review also, like listed entities will prepare the quarterly financial statements, and those quarterly financial statements also will be verified by auditor. And I told you that that verification of quarterly financial statements, we don't call it as audit, even though they're verified by chartered accountant, we call it as a review. So being a chartered accountant, we will not just provide audit services, we will also provide review services. We can also provide assurance services. Sometimes we might be required to verify the future financial information. We are not always associated with historical financial information. In some cases, we might be required to do some work on future financial information. I gave you example also earlier. Like for example, if a client for some business organization has gone to the bank for the purpose of loan, and the banker will say, I will give you loan if you bring the projections from the chartered accountant. Projections in the sense, they will ask that concerned borrower to project the financial statements for the coming 5 years, 6 years, and if they submit that projections, then only they will give the loan. So now this borrower, he will come to a chartered accountant. He will say, sir, I need a loan, but the banker is asking for a projection for 5 years. Please prepare the projections for me. Or he himself will prepare the projections and bring it to us, and he will ask us to certify that projections. So whatever it is, sometimes being a chartered accountant, we are not always associated with work relating to historical financial information. Sometimes we might also be required to work on future financial information, or sometimes we might be required to work on other than financial information. We might work on non-financial information also. So in those kind of assurance services also you can provide, like preparing the projections, certifying the projections, etc. So if you verify, audit is also somewhat a verification work, review is also verification work, assurance is also more or less verification work. But being a chartered accountant, we don't just do the verification work. We can also provide something called related services. This is something like consultancy work. Like for example, if you are a practicing chartered accountant, one day a company has approached you, they asked you, sir, we are maintaining the books of accounts, but we don't have enough of expertise to prepare the financial statements as per Schedule 3 and accounting standards. You please prepare the financial statements for us. This we call it as compiling arrangements. What do we call it? Compiling of books of accounts means nothing but preparation of financial statements. So you are a practicing chartered accountant. One day a client came to you and asked, sir, you prepare the financial statements for us. We will give you so and so amount of fees. Will you not do it? Definitely I will do it. So these kind of consultancy work also you can provide, that we call it as related services. So like this, being a chartered accountant, we can offer a very broad range of services to this society, and by providing these services to the society, we can make a living, we can earn the revenue out of it. So like we can provide audit services, we can provide review services, we can provide assurance services, even we can provide the related services also. And see, if you look at all these services, whatever we are providing, these are very important services. These are very crucial services for a user. Like for example, if you are doing audit, and the ultimate outcome of audit, we know it is going to be the audit report. See, whatever audit report that you are giving after completion of the entire audit assignment, whatever opinion that you are giving, that opinion is not just for the sake of one or two audience. That opinion is going to form the basis for so many audience. Like for example, if I am conducting audit of a listed company like Reliance, and if I give my audit report on the Reliance Industries Limited, that audit report will not just be used by one or two persons. That audit report will form the basis for so many people's decision. Just take the Reliance Industries Limited shareholders. There are lakhs of shareholders for the Reliance Industries Limited, and these lakhs of shareholders' decision will be based on the audit report, whatever you are giving. Similarly, for example, if a client has come to you and asked you to certify the future financial information, you certified the future financial information for them, and that future financial information was given to the banker. On the basis of that future financial information, the banker will give a loan to the customer. So because of the work, whatever you have done, the outcome of your work is forming the basis for the decision of the banker whether to give a loan to one concerned person or not. So like this, if you are providing any related services, that outcome of that related services also will be used not just by one or two persons, it will be used by the various stakeholders. And practically speaking, whatever work which we chartered accountants do, whatever profession we are or whatever profession we are dealing with, whatever services we are offering to the society, that services forms the basis for economic decisions of so many people. So not just one or two persons, so many persons business decision, so many persons economic decision, so many people, so many persons financial decision, all that decisions will be based on your outcome of the work. So don't you think, as a chartered accountant, whatever services which we are offering to the society, don't you think is there a requirement to maintain the quality in the services? Don't you think whatever services that we are offering to the society, be it audit services, be it review services, be it assurance services, be it related services, whatever different kinds of, see, basically all this we call it as engagements, different kinds of engagements. Engagement could be audit engagement also, engagement could be review engagement also, engagement could be assurance engagement also, engagement could be related services also. So whatever different engagements we are performing in our professional capacity, don't you think is there a requirement to maintain the quality in that work whatever we are doing? Do all agree with me? 100% yes. Yes, there is 100% requirement for a chartered accountant to maintain quality in the work whatever he is doing. If you don't maintain the quality in the audit assignments or review assignments or assurance assignment or related services, what will happen? Not just 1 or 2% will be affected. If you do something wrong in your work, if you are not doing your audit in a qualitative manner, if you are not doing the audit as per professional standards, if you are not doing the audit as per laws and regulations, if you are not giving appropriate reports, if you are giving inappropriate reports, then what will happen? Not just 1 or 2% will get affected. There will be a huge group of stakeholders whose financial stake will be at a risk. So that's why there is 100% requirement for us chartered accountants to maintain the quality, to control the quality in whatever assignments we are offering, whatever services that we are providing to this society. In all that services, there is 100% requirement for us to maintain the quality. Sir, how can you maintain that quality? How can you maintain that quality? I need guidance, sir. We chartered accountants, sir, we want some guidance. We want someone to guide us. How can we maintain the quality in the assignments we are doing? And who do you think has come forward and gave that guidance? None other than our ICI. So ICI came forward and told, don't worry, we will give you guidance. How you can maintain the quality, how can control the audit in the professional work whatever you are doing, you don't worry about it. We will come forward and give you the guidance. Sir, in what format the ICA you think have given the guidance? It has given simply in the form of standards. ICA has given guidance in the form of standards. They have given two standards, SQC 1 and SA 220. Both the standards are talking about the quality control, and these two standards actually give guidance to the auditor how to maintain the quality in the work which he is doing, so that his services will still remain relevant. And if you don't maintain the quality in the work whatever you are doing, what will happen is not just 1 or 2% will be blamed, entire profession will be blamed. Entire profession. Like often you hear it in the news. For example, if one particular chartered accountant has committed a mistake, take for example, one chartered accountant has committed from some GST fraud, or one chartered accountant has acted negligently and he was unable to find out the fraud. When you read this news in the newspapers, when you read the headlines, they will not say so and so concerned person who is a chartered accountant has committed a fraud. You will not be able to find the news in this manner. The headline will always be so and so chartered, so not so and so also, chartered accountants have committed a fraud. So like these headlines, you will be able to find chartered accountants have committed a fraud, chartered accountants have colluded with the management, chartered accountant of so and so company has did something wrong. They will not blame one person. They will not take the name of one specific person who is a chartered accountant and blame him. Instead, when one particular chartered accountant does something wrong, we always see it in the headlines. We always see in the mainstream media blaming the entire profession. So if one person, one of the professional commits a mistake, not just that one person, the entire profession has to take the heat of it. So like this, so many circumstances have even taken place in the past. So as I was telling you earlier in the previous chapters discussion also, when at certain point of time when something has gone wrong, so-called biggest frauds have happened in the world. So whenever these frauds have taken place, the fingers were first pointed out at the auditors only. So that's why being a chartered accountant, being a professional, if we don't maintain the quality in the work whatever we are doing, so many stakeholders' interest is going to get affected. And not just that, our reputation, our profession's reputation is also at stake. So that's why maintaining the quality is very, very important. And the ICA has given us the guidance how we can maintain the quality in a better way. That guidance has been given by way of two standards. Number one is SQC 1 and number 2 is SA 220. So first I want to explain the difference between SQC 1 and SA 220. Sir, you are telling both the standards are talking about quality control only, but what is the difference? Why we need two different standards for the same topic? If they want to give guidance regarding quality control, they could have given all the guidance in a single standard only, no? So why you are telling there are two standards which are talking about quality control? Why there's a need of two standards talking about quality control? Why they did not say everything in one particular standard? What is the difference between SQC 1 dealing about and SA 220 dealing about? Let me try to explain that first. Difference between SQC 1 and SA 220. So the difference is something like this. SQC1 and SA 220. The difference is, see, as I have told earlier, when I was giving you introduction to the standards, I told that ICAI has given four different kinds of standards. Standards on audit, they will become applicable when we are doing audit of historical financial information. SR is, that is standards on review engagements. These standards will become applicable when we are performing review engagements. SA is standards on assurance engagements. They will become applicable when we are performing assurance engagement. Then we have something called SRS, standards on related services. They will become applicable whenever we are performing related services. So we have four different kinds of standards, four different kinds of engagement standards. All of this were put together, we call them as engagement standards. SAS, that is standards on audit, will become applicable whenever audit assignments are done. SR is, that is standards on review engagements, will become applicable whenever we are doing the review assignments. SAE will become applicable whenever we are doing the assurance engagement, and SRS will become applicable whenever we are performing the related services. So all these four standards collectively, we are going to call them as engagement standards. I told you one more thing. Whenever you are performing any of this above professional engagement, there is one more category of standards which will become applicable, which is SQC, standards on quality control. So SQC1 is the standard under SQC category, and SQC1 talks about how to maintain quality by the entire firm while doing audit assignments, while doing review assignments, while doing assurance assignments, and while doing related services. As a firm, as an audit firm, whenever you are performing any of the engagement, that could be audit engagement, that could be review engagement, that could be assurance engagement, that could be related services. So being a chartered accountant, whenever we are performing any of this engagement, how as a firm, how as a overall firm, we can maintain the quality in any assignment which we are doing, in any engagement, whatever we are doing, be it audit engagement, be it review engagement, be it assurance engagement, be it related services. So whatever engagement we are doing as a firm, as an audit firm, whatever engagement I am doing, how to maintain the quality in every engagement, whatever I am doing, that guidance has been given under SQC1. Whereas SA 220, it talks about as an engagement team, whenever I am doing audit assignment, of one particular client, how I can specifically maintain quality in audit assignment of one particular client, that guidance has been given under SA 220. So SQC1 is a very broader standard. The scope of SQC1 is very broad. SQC1 actually talks about how we can maintain the quality as a firm in any assignment we are doing, be it audit assignment, be it review assignment, be it assurance assignment, be it related services, whatever may be the engagement which we are taking up, how we can maintain quality in every kind of engagement, that discussion has been given under, that guidance has been given under SQC1. Whereas on the other hand, SA 220, it is only going to talk about how as a engagement team, how we can maintain quality control in specifically audit engagement. If we are doing audit of one particular client as an engagement team, how we have to maintain the quality only in specific audit engagement, that guidance has been given under SA 220. And if I have to put it in other way around, SA 220 is actually taken from SQC1 only. So SQC1 is a very broader standard talking about maintaining quality control in different kinds of engagement. In that, one of the part is SA 220, which is specifically talking about how we can maintain quality control only in audit assignments. Able to understand? I hope you are able to get the difference. So anyhow, whatever it is, both SQC1 and SA 220, both are talking about quality control, but SQC1 talks about how as a firm we can maintain quality control in all auditors, in all engagements, whereas SA 220 will only talk about how to maintain quality control in audit engagements. So first what we will do is we'll try to understand the broader standard SQC1. We will try to understand. So when we understood what does SQC1 say, automatically SA 220 will remain explained. I will try to cover both the standards, but my part is half. I have to take all the effort to explain only one part of the standard SQC1. If I explain, automatically SA 220 we can complete. On the lines of SQC1, we can complete SA 220 just in a span of 5 to 10 minutes. So major discussion we are going to have regarding SQC1. We will talk about how to maintain the quality in all kinds of audit engagements as an auditor, what we can do, that we will talk about it. So once we understand SQC1 on its lines, if we read SA 220 in 5 to 10 minutes, we will complete SA 220. So with that, our 95% of the chapter will become over. Not even 95, 98% of the chapter will be over. So balance some 2 to 3%, some miscellaneous content will be there. That also, if we complete it, we can wind up the entire chapter. So without any delay further, having given this introduction, now I will start my discussion with SQC1. So what does SQC1 talk about? To maintain the quality in different kinds of engagements, which we chartered accountants do. So so all this introduction is there that you can refer to it. So first I will read SQC1. First I will try to explain SQC1. So let us see what does SQC1 say. So SQC1 is going to talk about quality control for firms that perform audits also, reviews also of historical financial information, and other assurance engagements also, and related service engagements also. As I have told, the title itself is making it clear. So SQC1 is going to talk about quality control for doing audit assignments, for doing review assignments also, for performing assurance engagements also, for performing related service engagements also. Nothing but any engagement which you as a chartered accountant or as a firm you are doing, how we can maintain quality control in all kinds of engagement. That guidance has been given under SQC1. That you can even find it out by reading the objectives paragraph also. So if we read objectives of SQC1, what they are telling, SQC1 requires that the firm should establish a system of quality control. That means every firm, every audit firm should have a system for quality control, which is designed to provide that firm with reasonable assurance that its personnel, its staff comply with professional standards, regulatory and legal requirements, and the reports that are issued by the firm or engagement partners are appropriate in the circumstances. Sir, what they are trying to say. So SQC1, the main objective why SQC1 has been given is, SQC1 is asking the firms to have one system, to have a proper system in place. What system? They should have a quality control system. They should have a proper mechanism in their firm. They should have a proper system for quality control, which gives reasonable assurance. That means that system of quality control, whatever the firm has built, that should give a reasonable level of confidence to the firm that their staff is doing all their engagement as per professional standards, as per the standards on audit, as per the standards on review engagements, as per the standards on assurance engagements, or as per the standards on related services. That means as a firm, you should have a sound system of quality control. And by having that system of quality control, you should get the confidence. You should get a high level of confidence that, okay, whatever engagement we have done, that engagement we have done as per the professional standards. If I have done the audit, my quality control system should give me assurance that, okay, by following this system, whatever audit I have done, those audits I have done as per standards on audit. So if I have done any review engagement, that system of quality control should give me confidence that, okay, whatever review engagement I have done, that I have done it as per standards on review engagements. If I have performed any assurance engagement, my quality control system should give me confidence that, okay, whatever assurance engagement I have done, that I have done it as per standards on assurance engagements. If I have performed any related services, my system of quality control should give me confidence that, okay, whatever work I have done, that have done it as per standards on related services. So you should have such a system of quality control which will give you reasonable assurance that whatever work you have done, that is as per professional standards, and it should also give you confidence that you have done the work as per respective laws and regulations. Whatever work you have done, that you have done it as per respective laws and regulations. Like for example, if I'm conducting audit of a company, my system of quality control should give me confidence that whatever company audit I have done, that is as per the Companies Act 2013. If I have done audit of a banking company, my system of quality control should give me a confidence that, okay, whatever banking company's audit I have done, that is as per the Banking Regulation Act. If I am doing audit of insurance company, my system of quality control should give me confidence that, okay, whatever this insurance company's audit I have done, that is as per the IRDA Act. So like that, my system of quality control should give me confidence that whatever work I am doing, that is as per professional standards, that is as per laws and regulations. And that system of quality control also should give me confidence that whatever report I have given for my engagement, be it audit, be it assurance, be it review, be it related services, whatever report I have given appropriate report only. I did not give any kind of inappropriate report. Basically the conclusion is, as a firm, if you as a firm, you should, in your firm, you should have such a system of quality control which will give you peace. After you have done some engagement, you should get the peace. You should not have sleepless nights. You should not be worried that today I have done this audit, no, I don't know tomorrow which error will which regulatory authority will come and question me. You should not have that worry. If you have done any kind of engagement, you should be able to sleep peacefully. When you will be able to sleep peacefully, if you are confident that okay, this engagement I have done it as per professional standards, this engagement I have done it as per laws and regulations, whatever report I have given, that is appropriate. So if you get that confidence after completing the engagement, if you get that confidence, then only you can sleep peacefully, or else you will have nightmares. You will always have that worry. That worry you should not have. So build a proper system of quality control which will give you high level of confidence that yes, my work is done as per professional standards, my work is done as per respective laws and regulations, and whatever report I have given or whatever report that I have to give, that report is appropriate. So that confidence you have to get it. Such a system of quality control, you have to build it. Okay. Now, so it will not be enough if the standard is telling you should have a proper system of internal or proper system of quality control. If they tell it, that will not be enough. The standard should also say, how can I build this system of quality control? They're telling how should be your system of quality control. Okay, understood. You told that my system of quality control should give me confidence that my work is done as per professional standard, laws and regulations, and my reports are appropriate. But how to build that system of quality control? The standard should give that guidance also. No, if they just say have this your quality control system should achieve these objectives, that alone will not be enough. If it is a standard, if it has to give me guidance, it should also tell me how can I build this system of quality control in order to fulfill that objectives. So what the standard SQC 1 says is, in order to build such a system of quality control, how a firm can simply build that system of quality controls by implementing some policies and procedures. And this standard SQC 1 says that in order to build that system of quality control, the firm should have some policies and procedures, and these policies and procedures should be implemented in 6 areas. The policies and procedures should be implemented in 6 areas. That means if I put it in simple terms, SQC 1 says if you maintain some policies and procedures in 6 different areas relating to your firm, then automatically whatever engagements you do, that engagements will be qualitative. Sir, what are that 6 areas in which I should have policies and procedures in order to build a strong system of internal control? Those 6 areas are leadership responsibility for quality within the firm. Number 2, ethical requirements. Number 3, acceptance and continuation of client relationship. Number 4, human resources. Number 5, engagement performance. And finally, number 6, monitoring. Number 6 is what? Monitoring. So if I have policies and procedures in these 6 different areas, what are the 6 different areas? Leadership responsibility. So even if you have a look at the material, so this standard says elements of system of quality control. The firm's system of quality control should include policies and procedures addressing each of the following elements. That means if you want to build a quality control system which has to fulfill these objectives, then that system of quality control should have some policies and procedures, and that policies and procedures should be related to 6 different areas. What are they? Number 1, the firm should have proper policies and procedures regarding the leadership responsibility for quality within the firm. Number 2, ethical requirements. Number 3, acceptance and continuation of client relationship and specific engagements. Number 4, human resources. Number 5, engagement performance. And number 6, monitoring. See, let me try to explain to you in brief what exactly is this each and every element will deal about. First, I will give you overview of all the 6 items. Once we got overview of all the 6 items, then we can read the standard and finish it off. Very simple one only. So first let us try to understand the meaning of each and every element here. What does it deal about? What kind of policies we should have in each of this element, that we will try to understand it. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so we'll pick up the first item for discussion, which is leadership responsibility. See, if you want to maintain quality in the engagements, whatever you are doing, be it audit, be it review, be it assurance, be it related services, if you want to maintain quality in any of the engagements which you are doing, you should assign someone the leadership responsibility. You should assign someone leadership responsibility. Sir, what is this leadership responsibility? I will try to explain this concept with a simple analogy. Take for example, I want some task to get done. I want some task to get done. Take for example, there are some 10 team members are there. There is a team of 10 members. So now like this, there is a team of 10 members. I have given one task to this team of 10 members collectively. I told that there is one task, you 10 people have to collectively perform it. 90% of the chances are that the task will not happen. The task will not happen. Why? Because the problem here is you have given a collective responsibility for everyone. But instead of giving collective responsibility, what I have done is, from this group, I have identified one or two persons. I gave them leadership responsibility. I told that, hey, your group. So take for example, you have a group of 10 people. Now you will be treated as leader of the group. I am giving you a task for your entire group. But you being the leader, you have to monitor the rest of the team members and make sure that this team will complete this task. This team will complete this task. Just to take an example of a cricket team. See, in the cricket team, 11 players are there. But always we need a captain. See, when we place a captain, what will happen? So what the captain will do is he will take the leadership responsibility. If we are keeping a captain in the team, that captain is actually taking the leadership responsibility. That means this captain will monitor rest of the all team members and he will make sure that the team will achieve its objective of winning the game. So no. For example, if there is a team and there is no captain, I have given the decision making power to each and everybody. Everybody can take their own decision. Just imagine how the cricket game will go. So it will be a complete ruckus. So that's why if you want any task to be performed, if you want any activity to get completed, you should not give a collective responsibility to the group. From that group, one person you have to pick up, and to that person you have to assign the leadership responsibility. Not just one, you can pick even more than one person also. So you have to pick a few people, give them leadership responsibility. See, from your team, you are the leader. So your responsibility, you have to take the leadership responsibility. That means you have to guide the team. You have to guide the team and make that team fulfill that task. Similarly, if you want to maintain the quality in the engagements, whatever you are doing. See, when I say firm, in our firm, different people will be there. Our engagement partners will be there. So many article assistants will be there. So many paid assistants will be there. And audit managers will be there. When I say firm, in my firm, totally take, for example, 25 people are there. 25 staff are there in my team. We are 3 partners. Take, for example, my firm is ABC and Co. In this firm, there are 3 partners are there, 3 practicing chartered accountants who are partners in this firm. Below each of this partner, 5 article assistants are there, 15 article assistants are there. They have recruited some 5 more paid assistants. They have somewhere around 5 audit managers. So if you put it this way, this team itself is, this audit firm entirely contains some 3 partners plus 15 article assistant, 20, 25 and 28 engagement team members are there. Now, 28 firm members are there. This firm contains a total of 28 people. Now, these 28 people, I have to make sure that this firm, when I say firm, I am collectively referring to all the 28 people. Now, this firm, whenever they are doing the audit, whenever they are doing review, whenever they are doing assurance, whatever engagement they are doing, all that engagements have to be done in a qualitative manner. But if I allocate that responsibility to each and every person, if I give collective responsibility to all the people in my firm, then 90% of the cases our audit will not be qualitative. So that's why generally the first principle what every firm should have is, from this entire firm, you have to pick a few persons and give them leadership responsibility. Give them leadership responsibility. Who do you think will be suitable for giving the leadership responsibility? None other than partners. So you have to assign the leadership responsibility. You have to assign the partners. So generally in the case of an audit firm, partners will be given the responsibility. They have to lead the team. They have to lead their engagement team who are working under them and make sure that this firm, whatever engagement they are doing, that firm is doing the audit in a qualitative manner. And what do you mean by leadership responsibility? Just if you tell, so and so partner will act as a leader, will that be enough? No. They have to fulfill that leadership responsibility. How that person can fulfill that leadership responsibility? See, how they can fulfill that leadership responsibility is they have to communicate their people who are working under them the importance of maintaining quality. If I am the partner in the firm, if I have been given the leadership responsibility, how I can fulfill that leadership responsibility? If I go to each and every person and say, hey, I'm the leader, I'm the leader, I'm the leader. If you go and announce it to your entire engagement team members, will quality will be automatically maintained? Have you fulfilled your leadership responsibility just by going yourself and announcing to everybody that you are a leader? Just announcing will not work, my dear friends. So you have to show that. How I can fulfill that? How I can fulfill that is communicate with your team members. Communicate with your team members. Hey boss, listen, we have to do the audit in a qualitative manner. We have to do the audit as per standards on audit. We have to do the audit as per laws and regulations. If we don't do it, we will land in trouble. We have to give appropriate report. If we don't give the appropriate report, there are so many stakeholders whose opinion is getting affected. You have to communicate it. Through your actions, you have to display them. So that is how you can fulfill that leadership responsibility, not by announcing yourself as a leader. Even try to fulfill that responsibility by way of your communication, by way of your actions. You have to communicate and display that qualitative mindset. Clear? So that is the first area in which the firm should have policies and procedures. Leadership responsibility. Someone in the firm should be given the leadership responsibility to bring the quality in every engagement, whatever they are doing. What are that exact policies and procedures which you have to follow in this area? That we will read it, that we will read and understand it. Second area, ethical requirements. Then the firm should maintain some policies and procedures with regard to ethical requirements. Sir, what are that policies and procedures regarding ethical requirements? Let us see. What are that policies and procedures relating to ethical requirements? So when it comes to ethical requirements, nothing but every firm, the firm, whatever they are doing the audit, doing audit or any other assignment, every firm should comply with 5 ethical requirements. This you have read it at the CA inter level, and once again we are reading at the CA final level, and more detail about this 5 ethical requirements we'll discuss in the professional ethics chapter. When we take up the chapter professional ethics and liabilities of the auditor, there we will try to understand even in a much more detailed manner what are that 5 ethical requirements. But first I will list down what are the 5 ethical requirements. So the standards, even SQC 1 says that as a firm, whenever you are doing any engagement, you have to comply with 5 ethical requirements. The 5 ethical requirements are integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, professional competence and due care, and then finally professional behavior. Are they sounding familiar? Did you find this somewhere? Yes, we have all know this. We all know this. Where you might have learned it. So these things we have learned it at the CA inter level. Where we have learned it at the CA inter level. At the CA inter level, we have learned each of these 5 ethical requirements. At the CA final level, we will talk about it in a detailed manner in the professional ethics chapter. Now I will give you brief. So as a firm, whenever you are doing any engagement, you have to comply with these 5 ethical requirements. What are the 5 ethical requirements? Repeat everybody along with me. Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, and professional behavior. Sir, what is the meaning of each of that ethical requirement? Integrity. So you have to display an attitude of integrity. Sir, what do you mean by integrity? Honesty. You have to be a honest person. You have to be a sincere person. You have to be a straightforward person. You should not associate yourself with fraudulent documents. Don't associate yourself with the fraudulent people. So being a chartered accountant, you should be honest, you should be sincere, you should be straightforward. Any assignment which you have picked up, there you have to display a honest attitude. So this ethical requirement, everybody, every auditor, every chartered accountant has to comply. Objective means what? Free from bias. You should not show any kind of bias. Unbiased manner you have to work. You should not show any kind of partiality towards any of your client. So in an unbiased manner, in an objective manner, in an unbiased manner, you have to do the work. So that is a objectivity. Confidentiality. Sir, what is confidentiality? Being a chartered accountant, when we are providing professional services to our client, as a part of that professional services, we get access to a lot of important information regarding the client's business. We might even get first-hand information on the client's trade secrets also. You might even get to know about the client trade secrets also. So lot of confidential information you can get. So as a chartered accountant, we have that privilege. For example, if you are conducting audit of any entity, you can go and ask them any information. When I say any information, not their personal information. When I say any information, you can ask any information regarding client's business. Don't take it too literally and go and ask don't go and harass the employees by asking their mobile numbers, addresses and all. No, not that information. So being a chartered accountant, the privilege which we enjoy is we can ask any kind of business information regarding the client. Client will never say why I should provide that information to you. So being an auditor, we have a privilege. We will be given a wide access to a lot of information. Sometimes we might even get information to trade secrets, business secrets, that also you might get to know. But you have to maintain an attitude of confidentiality. You have to be ethical person, you have to be a confidential person. So as a part of your professional work, you got some access to trade secret. Will you simply go and disclose it to the competitor, or will you make a YouTube video about it, or will you post it on your Twitter or Instagram media? You should not do it. So whatever client's information you are getting as a part of your audit, so you have to maintain confidentiality over it. And professional competence and due care. Competence, that means you should become a professionally competent person, capable person. As you all know, being a chartered accountant, whatever subjects we have to deal with in our day-to-day life, they are not going to remain static. They are dynamic subjects. Every time they will undergo continuous changes. Like income tax act you take, once in every year budget will come, income tax act undergo changes. GST meeting, once in every quarter, once in every month, GST council meeting will happen, amendments will come, notifications will come, circulars will come. You have to update your knowledge. Sometimes old laws and regulations will be scrapped altogether. Some new laws and regulations will be brought, like Companies Act 1956 was scrapped and Companies Act 2013 was brought. So many indirect tax laws were scrapped and GST was brought into picture. At the time when I prepared for my CA final examination, I read so many indirect tax laws. I read service tax, I read VAT, we prepared for CST, we prepared for imports, exports, excise duty. So many indirect tax laws we have read as a part of our CA final. But the moment I passed the examination and came into industry, government came and told all laws were gone. Now you have to, going forward, you have to comply with GST only. Whatever I have studied for my CA final examination, I can no longer apply it practically. So if I stayed like that only, no, I will not update my knowledge with the GST. I will remain up. I will get to know about only whatever I have learned, like excise duty, customs, VAT. This only I will use. No one, you will not be able to survive in the practice. You will not be able to provide better quality of services for your client. So if you want to provide better quality of services to your client, if you want to provide related services to your client, it is your responsibility to remain professionally competent, to remain updated about the changes happening in our industry, to equip yourself with the new things which are happening in our industry. If you don't remain competent, you will be thrown out of the industry. Your client will not get better service. And also you have to do the work with due care. Due care means what? You have to perform the work with utmost care. You should not be a negligent person. You should not be a careless person. You have to do the work with a lot of care and caution. And even you have to maintain professional behavior. Professional behavior means what? Whatever work you are doing, make sure that you are doing the work as per laws and regulations. Don't associate yourself with any work which brings a discredit to the profession. Don't do any such works. Don't involve in any such activities which brings a disrepute to the profession, which brings a bad name to the profession. You should not do any such work. You should always try to add the value to our profession, make our profession more relevant. Don't unnecessarily spoil the name of the profession. So being a chartered accountant, we have to follow these 5 ethical requirements. If we follow these 5 ethical requirements, automatically quality can be seen in our engagements, whatever we have done. So what are the 5 ethical requirements which we have to comply? Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, and professional behavior. Along with these 5 ethical requirements, one more important thing: independence. Independence is the must. As being a chartered accountant, the distinguishing feature, one of the foundational stone for our profession, for our engagements, is independence. So we have to be independent. If we face any threat to independence, we should try to eliminate that. If we know that we are unable to we will not be able to do that engagement with independence, you should never accept. Or if at all, after accepting the engagement, if you are facing any threat to the independence, then you have to come out of that engagement. You have to withdraw from the engagement. So these are some ethical requirements. These kind of policies and procedures you have to implement in this area. You have to make sure that you are complying with these 5 ethical requirements along with independence. So that is the second area in which policies and procedures you should have. So 2 areas I have covered. So you should have policies and procedures when it comes to leadership responsibility. You should have policies and procedures when it comes to ethical requirements. Number 3, you should have some policies and procedures with regard to acceptance and continuation of client relationship. This I have already covered earlier as a part of our previous chapters. I will try to anyhow revise it once again. As I have told, I have to continuously take the water. So that's why I'm drinking this much. But anyhow, let us come back. So acceptance and continuation of client relationship. So I think I have already explained this earlier. See, first I am explaining entire concept. So once I explain all the 6 elements in a detailed manner, no, SQC 1 explanation I have done. SQC one complete standard I have done. Only reading part will be pending. So that's why I'm focusing first on entire concept. First we'll get our concept clear, then we'll start reading the material and complete it. So acceptance and continuation of client relationship. See, this I've already told you. So sometimes we have to take a decision regarding accepting a client relationship. Sometimes we have to take a decision regarding continuing the client relationship. So when we will take a decision regarding accepting client relationship, see this concept I have explained when we are discussing audit strategy, planning and program. There we discuss something called preliminary engagement activities. In this I told. So while discussing preliminary engagement activities, I explained this. So before accepting or continuing a relationship with the client, you have to follow some policies. Sir, when we will when we will take a decision regarding accepting the client relationship, when we will take a decision regarding accepting is when altogether new client is coming to you, a client with whom you did not work previously, a new client is coming to your office and asking you to do some engagement. Then you have to take a decision whether I should accept the client relationship or not. Sir, when you have to take the decision regarding continuation of the client relationship, very simple. When we have to take a decision regarding continuation is sometimes existing client only, the client whom we have worked with the past. We have already worked with that client in the past. Existing client is coming to us and asking us to perform new engagement. Existing client coming to us and asking us to perform new engagement. Here, what decision we will take? Accept or continue? Here we have to take a decision regarding accept only, whether we can accept that new engagement client relationship. Whereas when existing client is coming to us and asking us to perform existing engagement only, then we have to take a decision whether I can continue that relationship with the client or not. Like for example, there is a client X Limited. For the financial year 22-23, I did company audit for them. Whereas the same client in the financial year 23-24, he is asking me to do the tax audit. Existing client only, but he's asking me to do a new engagement. Last year I have done company audit, but current year he's asking me to do the tax audit. So existing client, he's asking me to do the new engagement. What decision I have to take whether to accept this new engagement or not? Take another example. There is a client Y Limited for the financial year 22-23. I did the company audit for him. The same client Y Limited for the financial year 23-24, he's coming to me once again and asking me to do the company audit only. Existing client only, existing engagement only. Here what decision I have to take? Here I have to take a decision whether to continue this relationship with the client or not. So like this, when a client is approaching you and offering you some engagement, when the client is coming to your office and offering you some work, there you have to take a decision whether to accept that relationship or to continue that client relationship. So these are the circumstances where you have to take a decision regarding acceptance. This is the circumstance where you have to take a decision regarding continuation of the client relationship. Now SQC 1 says before you take that decision, before you take whether I should accept the client relationship or not, whether I should continue with the client relationship or not, before you take that decision, there are some policies, there are some factors which you have to consider. So what factors you will consider here before you say yes to the client relationship? When a client has come to you and offered you some engagement, before you say yes to that client, what factors you will check? The standard SQC 1 has told 4 factors you have to check. Number 1, check the integrity of the client. Check the integrity of the owners of the client. For example, if a client X Limited has came to you and asked you to do the audit for them, what you should check first? You should check first who are the owners of this entity and what is their integrity. Are the owners of this company honest? Are they truthful owners? Are they genuine person or the fraudulent person? If they have done the frauds already in the past, if they are well known for committing the frauds, I will better try to stay away from that client. If I came to know that client's owners are very honest person, very sincere person, they are very well known, they have a good name in the industry, I'll be very comfortable in saying yes to that engagement. So one factor which you have to consider before you take a decision regarding acceptance or continuation of client relationship is checking the integrity of the owners, honesty and straightforwardness of the owners. Similarly, you have to check your competence. As an auditor, you have to check your capability. For example, I'm a newly started audit firm. I'm the only partner. In my office, 2 article assistants are there. Totally my firm contains 3 staff. One day listed company came to me and told, sir, you please do the audit for us. Out of excitement, I have accepted. But later I realized that to do this audit of a listed company, I need minimum 10 staff. But in your firm put together, totally you have 3 staff only. Later when you realize, who will suffer as an auditor? You will suffer because you will not be able to complete that assignment with your existing staff. Client also will suffer because they have to find an alternative person. So entire work will also suffer, stakeholders also will suffer. So that's why what SQC 1 says is before you say yes to the client engagement, before that only you check whether are you capable enough. By saying yes to that engagement, do you have enough of resources? Do you have enough of time? Do you have enough of skill? Do you have enough of experience to complete that engagement? Before accepting only, you have to check it. If you feel that yes, I have enough of time, enough of resources, enough of staff, enough of experience, then only accept the audit, then only say yes to the engagement. If you feel that no, with the existing resources, with the existing time, with the existing skill, with the existing experience, I will not be able to complete this engagement on time, better say no well in advance. Clear? And one more thing which you have to check is you have to check the compliance with ethical requirements. Before saying yes to any client, we need to check if we accept that engagement, will we be able to comply with the ethical requirements. What are ethical requirements? Just now, as I have told. So before you say yes to the client, you have to check, if I accept this engagement, will I be able to act independently there? Will I be able to maintain integrity there? Will I be able to maintain confidentiality? Will I be able to maintain my carefulness? If you feel that yes, by saying yes to the client, there is no damage to the ethical requirements, there is no danger to the ethical requirements, all the ethical requirements I can comfortably comply with, there will not be problem to my ethical requirements, there will not be any compromise on my independence. If you feel that yes, okay, nothing, no damage is happening to the ethical requirements and independence, then only say yes. But if you feel that if I accept this audit, I will not be able to act independently, like for example, why I will not be able to act independently is my father is some top level director in that company. My father is a director in that company. So if I accept that audit, I will not be able to do that audit independently. If you feel that there is a damage to your ethical requirements, don't accept audit. In addition to that, what you can also consider is, what one more factor which you have to consider is significant matters which have arisen during the previous engagements. This point is particularly suitable in the case of existing client. When existing client is coming to you and asking you to do some engagement, either new engagement or continue or old engagement only, you have to consider significant matters which have taken place during the previous engagements. Like last year, I did the company audit for one client. The client was creating a lot of trouble. He did not give me information on time. He was troubling me a lot. He did not give me response. When I go and ask him information 2-3 times, he came to beat me. So he created a lot of trouble in the last year's audit. Now current year, once a year got over, now he's coming to me and telling, sir, current year also you do the audit for us. What you will do? You will try to better stay away from that client. So like that, even you have to consider significant matters which have arisen during the previous audit assignments, previous engagements, sorry. So when it comes to acceptance and continuation of client relationship, these kind of policies you have to implement. Nothing but checking these factors, then only saying yes to the client relationship. What factors you have to check? Integrity of the owners of your client, competence and capability of your engagement team members, compliance with the ethical requirements, and significant matters which have arisen during the previous audit engagements. So that is the third area in which you need to implement policies and procedures. Number 4, human resources. Nothing but if you want to make sure that whatever engagements you are doing, they are qualitative, they are done as per professional standards, they are done as per laws and regulations, whatever reports you are doing, whatever reports you are giving, that are appropriate. If you want to make sure that these all things are getting complied in whatever engagements you are doing, that will be possible only when you have proper staff, only when you have proper resources. Like for example, at the time of recruitment, you have to recruit capable persons, though you have to give them proper training. If they are getting stuck somewhere, you have to supervise them. If they are doing the work very well, recognize them, give them proper compensation, give them proper promotion, give them proper career development opportunities, try to elevate their career. So if you, by doing all these policies like recruiting proper person, giving them proper compensation, addressing their personal needs, and also giving them proper training, if you can make your human resources, if you can make your staff, if you can make your employees competent enough, then obviously quality will be maintained in the engagements. If you don't have qualitative staff, if you don't have proper human resources, if they are not competent enough, if they are not having proper training, if they are unable to do the work properly, then no matter how much better planning you do, quality will not be maintained. So the only way by which we can maintain the quality in the engagements, whatever we are doing, is we need to have proper policies and procedures with regard to our staff, with regard to our human resources. The better human resources you have, the better you treat them, the better policies you have towards them, the better will be the quality of the engagement. The way, if you are not treating your employees properly, if you are not giving them proper training, if you are not paying them proper compensation, if you are not properly recruiting them, then obviously quality will not be maintained in the engagements. So one more area in order to maintain the quality where policies and procedures should be there is with regard to your human resources. Then coming to the fifth item in which you should have policies and procedures is engagement performance. So when the engagements are actually getting performed, at that point of time also you need to follow some policies and procedures. Sir, what kind of policies and procedures I need to have when the engagement is actually getting performed? A few policies and procedures which you should have is briefing. You should give proper briefing to the engagement team. Like for example, you have taken audit assignment of one client. You have some 10 engagement team members. Don't just ask them to directly go and do the audit. At the beginning of the audit, give them proper briefing. Okay, this is what we are supposed to do in this engagement. This is what instructions you have to follow. These are the processes we have to follow. These are the standards we have to comply. If you follow this process, you will be able to comply with the standards. So like that, proper briefing meetings should happen. You should not ask the engagement team to directly jump into the audit. Give them proper briefing of the work. And along with that, there should be something called engagement quality control review. Engagement quality control review should happen. Sir, what do you mean by engagement quality control review? Take for example, there is an audit firm. In that audit firm, totally 28 persons are there. Out of the 28 staff, some 10 members are acting as engagement team for conducting audit of X Limited. As I have told, entire firm staff will not involve in only one work. So out of this total 28 staff in my office, 10 persons I have separated. For them, I have given the work of audit of X Limited. Now this 10 people will be called as engagement team. Now this engagement team will complete the audit. Will complete the entire audit of X Limited. They will do the planning, they will perform risk assessment procedures, they will perform compliance procedures, they will perform substantive audit procedures, they will obtain audit evidence, everything they will do. But just before they express opinion, I will ask someone from the firm to review the work of this entire engagement team. Whatever work engagement team has done, I will ask either internal or external persons to my firm to review the work of this engagement team once, whether my engagement team has done the work properly or not. I will ask one of the partners of the firm. For example, for this audit, there is a firm ABC and Co. For this firm, Mr. A is the engagement partner. So what I will do is this engagement team along with this engagement partner Mr. A, whether they have properly done this audit of X Limited or not, just before they give the opinion, I will ask one more partner. Take for example Mr. B, who is not a part of the engagement team. He's a part of the firm, but he is not part of engagement team. I will ask Mr. B once to check whether this entire engagement team has done the work till now properly or not. This process we call it as engagement quality control review. Nothing but when engagement team has done the audit completely, before they give the opinion, someone from the firm but not a part of the engagement team, I will ask them to review the work of the engagement team once. So that process we call it as engagement quality control review. Should have these kind of engagement quality control review also to improve the quality of the audit. And also I will give proper instructions to my team to maintain proper documentation. When the engagement is getting performed, I will give instructions to my engagement team members how to maintain documentation, what should be included in the documentation, what should not be included in the documentation. I should give instructions to them regarding documentation. And I have to create such a suitable environment where if there is any difficult matter or contentious matter, if there is any difficult matter, I should give them proper consultation. If some people is getting stuck when they are doing the engagement, I should step in there and I should give them proper guidance. Able to understand? So like this, when the engagement is getting performed, these kind of policies should be implemented. Like proper briefings, engagement quality control reviews, documentation, consultancy in contentious matters or difficult matters. These kind of policies and procedures, if you follow while engagement is actually getting performed, quality will be maintained. So that is the fifth area, implementing some policies and procedures when it comes to engagement performance. Then finally, one more last area in which we need to have policies and procedures is monitoring. See, in the above 5 areas, we will implement policies and procedures. In the first 5 areas, we will implement policies and procedures. Just implementing policies and procedures and leaving it will be enough? No. Whatever policies and procedures which we have implemented in the above 5 areas, are they working effectively? Is there any requirement to make the changes? Do we need to update any of the policy? Do our employees really following that policies and procedures or not? Continuous monitoring also should happen. What should also happen? Continuous monitoring also should happen. Nothing but whatever policies and procedures which we have implemented in the above 5 areas, whether those policies and procedures are getting complied with, whether they are getting practically implemented, are we required to make any changes? So all these things also we are required to monitor them. So that is what the last aspect, monitoring. Nothing but the above policies and procedures in the 5 areas are working effectively or not. So I have to take a few of the completed engagements, I have to review them, I have to verify them, and I have to check whatever engagements I have done till now, but in all that engagements all these policies and procedures are followed or not. I have to verify it. So those kind of policies and procedures also should be there, which we call them as monitoring. Understood, everybody? So these are the 6 areas, and in these 6 areas, if you follow the policies and procedures, then obviously that will lead to a good system of quality control. And if you have a good system of quality control, you can get reasonable assurance that you have done your engagements as per professional standards, as per laws and regulations, and you are giving appropriate reports. That is what simply the guidance given under SQC 1. Clear? So entire concept I have explained. I hope you are having the clarity of the concept. Just I will give you some 10 minutes of break now. I need a rest for my throat, so I will give you 10 minutes of the break. So come back after 10 minutes. We will read the content from SQC1 and we'll try to complete it. So once we have read SQC1, automatically SA 220 also we can complete in no time. So just we will take 10 minutes of break, and after the break we will resume our discussion. Okay, so come back within 10 minutes. Don't take extra time. Okay guys, welcome back after the break. So in the previous before the break, so since we are done with all the conceptual understanding, so now what we will try to do is we will try to read the content from the material. So since we got clarity of the concept, now it becomes very easy for us to read and understand. So let us see. So as I have told, the firm's system of quality control. So whatever quality control system the firm is developing, so that quality control system should contain some policies and procedures relating to 6 elements. What are the 6 elements? Leadership responsibilities for quality within the firm. Number 2, ethical requirements. Number 3, acceptance and continuation of client relationship and specific engagements. Number 4, human resources. Number 5, engagement performance. And number 6, monitoring. And they say one more paragraph here. Quality control policies and procedures should be documented. So whatever policies and procedures you are developing in these 6 areas, that should be documented and they should be communicated to firm's staff. See, for example, if I'm head of the firm, if I developed all the policies and procedures in these 6 areas, I kept it on a piece of paper and kept it in the locker, will it be of any use? No. So this policy should be documented and they should be even communicated to my staff also. So by communicating, the firm recognizes the importance of obtaining feedback on its quality control system from its personnel. So if you communicate those policies and procedures to the staff, then you can get the feedback, how far they are effective. Therefore, the firm encourages its personnel to communicate their views or concerns on quality control matters. So the thing is, once you develop the quality control policies and procedures, first thing is you have to document and you have to communicate those policies to the staff. By letting them know, you can also get their views, what they are thinking about these policies and procedures. Sometimes you can also get valuable suggestions from your staff regarding that policies and procedures. So now let us see what kind of policies and procedures you should have in each and every area. So first they are addressing the first item, leadership responsibility within the firm. So first one, how you can ensure that leadership responsibility is fulfilled within the firm. Let us see what they are telling. SQC1 requires the firms to establish policies and procedures to promote an internal culture based on the recognition that quality is essential in performing engagements. That means first in the firm, you have to develop one proper culture. You have to develop one strong culture within the firm, and that culture's main objective should be each and everyone in the firm should get to know that quality is very, very important. So such a good internal culture you have to create. So such policies and procedures should require generally the firm's CEO or the firm's managing partner to assume that ultimate responsibility. As I've told, who will be the suitable person to take the leadership responsibility? The CEOs of the firm or managing partners of the audit firm. They should come forward and take the leadership responsibility for the different kind of engagements which they are doing. The example set by firm's leadership encourages an inner culture that recognizes high quality audit work. So as a leader, as a top level management, if you show your dedication towards the quality, then automatically that will inspire the other people in the firm as well. Further, persons assigned with operational responsibilities for the firm quality control system by the firm's CEO or managing partners should have sufficient and appropriate experience, ability, and the necessary authority. Like for example, take if I am the partner of the firm, I will take the leadership responsibility, but I will allocate the work. No, I will allocate the work to my staff. No, to whomever I am allocating the work, those people also should be competent enough. Those people also should have experience. They should have also have ability. They should have also necessary authority. So I will take the leadership responsibility, and by taking the leadership responsibility, that work also I will assign to my staff. To whomever I am assigning the work, they should also be having proper experience, ability, and necessary authority. Audit quality is paramount in all engagement. That means it is of highly important. Maintaining quality is highly important. It is non-negotiable. You can't compromise on the quality. In this regard, it should be ensured that the firm assigns its management responsibilities so that commercial considerations do not override the quality. The firm should always make sure that commercial considerations are not overriding the quality. Like for example, you should have such a management responsibilities that just because the client is offering you more fees, you should not compromise on the quality. You should not give importance to the commercial considerations. You should always give importance to the quality. Sometimes what will happen is the firms will get will get attracted, will get will pay more attention to the commercial considerations. Like for example, one company is telling general audit fees is 10 lakh rupees, I will give you 20 lakh rupees, don't report the negative things in my company. So if you accept to that, that means what you are doing, you are paying more importance to the commercial considerations. If you pay importance to commercial considerations, quality will be degraded. And also the firm's policies and procedures addressing performance evaluation, compensation, promotion with regard to its personnel are designed to demonstrate the firm's commitment to quality. In order to ensure that, in order to become a good leader, what you should do is you should identify those people who are doing that work in a qualitative manner in your firm, identify them, give them proper compensation, so that it will pass on message to the other persons also. Okay, the top level management is considering only those people who are doing the qualitative work. That is also one way in which you can fulfill the leadership responsibility. While paying the compensation, while you are offering the promotions, you should demonstrate that you are always giving importance to the people who are maintaining quality in their work. And then finally, the firm devotes sufficient resources for the development, documentation and support of its quality control policies and procedures. So in the firm, you should not have only people who are doing the work. In the firm, you should also allocate some 1 or 2 staff who are exclusively working on quality control policies and procedures. So if you follow these kind of policies and procedures in the firm, then leadership responsibility will be fulfilled. So what they have told, what is a summary? So let us build a summary of this points here. Let us try to mark important points, or let us try to note down important points here. First one, internal culture. So first step in fulfilling the leadership responsibilities, you have to build a internal culture. Number 1, who will take the leadership responsibility? Generally, the CEOs of the firm or managing partners, they should take the leadership responsibility. Number 3, you have to set examples. Being a top level management, you have to set the example for the others. That means first you have to demonstrate your quality, that will encourage the others. Next, persons to whom work is assigned. Persons to whom work is assigned, they also should be competent. They should have ability. They should have authority. 5th point. So what they are telling is audit is paramount. That is, audit is very important. It is non-negotiable. So that's why some factors we have to pay attention. Commercial considerations should not be taken into account. Then employees compensation, promotion, that should demonstrate the quality. And also you should have some resources dedicated who will work on quality control policies and procedures. So these kind of policies you should have in order to fulfill the leadership responsibility. First area we are done. Second one, what is the second matter? Ethical requirements. You should have some policies and procedures with regard to ethical requirements. Let us see what does SQC 1 say here. So SQC 1 says the firm should establish, don't worry guys, for this also I will develop a summary and share it with you. Like the way I have shared the summary for you for SA 540, for an SA 240 and all, I will also develop summary for SQC 1 and I will share it with you. Don't worry about it. So just concentrate on learning it. Memorizing part, I will take care of it by sharing with you the summary notes. So ethical requirements. When it comes to ethical requirements also, you need to have some policies and procedures. What policies and procedures you need to have regarding ethical requirements? Let us see. The firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that the firm and its personnel comply with relevant ethical requirements. In the firm, you should have certain policies and procedures to make sure that your staff is complying with ethical requirements which are given by ICAI. So what are the basic ethical requirements, or we also call them as fundamental principle of professional ethics also we call them. So there are 5 ethical requirements which you have to comply. As I have told, integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, and professional behavior. And fundamental principles should be emphasized. That means you should highlight the importance of these 5 ethical requirements by way of the actions of the leaders. The leaders, those people who have taken the leadership responsibility, through their actions, they have to highlight how important it is to comply with the ethical requirements. By spreading awareness those people in the firm who are taking the leadership responsibility, they should spread awareness among other peoples in the firm how important it is to comply with the ethical requirements. Monitoring, you should check whether all engagement team members are complying with the ethical requirements or not. And also, if you find any person who is not complying with these ethical requirements, you have to take proper actions. You have to properly deal with them also. So complying with these 5 ethical requirements is very important, and this should be highlighted by way of your actions, by spreading awareness, by monitoring, and also taking appropriate action if you find any non-compliance. Along with that, one of the most other important ethical requirement is independence. We have to do the work in an independent manner. Independence is the foundation of entire audit related concept. The firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that the firm and its personnel, including experts contracted with the firm and network firm personnel. What is network firm and all? Once again, we'll discuss in the professional ethics. So the firm, its personnel and experts, they all maintain independence wherever required. So one more important thing which you have to make sure is all the engagement team members are maintaining independence. Such policies and procedures should enable the firm to communicate its independence requirements to its personnel. So as a firm, you have to communicate to all your staff how important is independence. Identify and evaluate circumstances and relationship that create threat to independence. What circumstances are causing a danger to independence? Like for example, if in your engagement team there is one person whose relative is in top level management of the client company, this is a circumstance which could create a threat to independence. So as a firm, you have to identify all those circumstances which will create a threat to your independence. And once you have identified the circumstances which create a threat to independence, take appropriate action to eliminate those threats. You have to take appropriate action to eliminate those threats. Like for example, as I've told, in my engagement team, one person is there. That person's relative is in a top level management of the client company. You find a circumstance which create a threat to independence. Try to take action to eliminate it. How you can eliminate it? Remove this person from the engagement team, place some another person in his place. So like this, first you have to identify all those events or circumstances which create a threat to independence. Once you identified it, you have to take appropriate action to eliminate them or reduce them to an acceptably low level, if considered appropriate, to withdraw from the engagement. In some cases, you will not be able to take appropriate action to eliminate that threat. For example, you are unable to replace this person. Then what you should do is withdraw from the audit. No longer continue the audit. You should never do the audit. You should never do any engagement by compromising the independence. If you find any threat to independence, take appropriate action to eliminate that threat. If you are unable to eliminate that threat, if you are unable to reduce that threat, better to stay out of the audit. Stay out of the engagement. Next one. There should exist a mechanism in the firm by which engagement partners provide the firm with relevant information about client engagements, and personnel of the firm promptly notify firms of circumstances and relationship that create a threat to independence. That means you have to build a proper mechanism in the firm that any engagement partner or any person in the firm, if they find any threat to independence, they should voluntarily come and inform to the firm. So such a mechanism you have to build it. All breaches of independence, if you find any breach of independence, that should be promptly notified to the firm for appropriate action. If at all, if any person finds any breach of independence, immediately come and communicate the firm and take appropriate action. And one more point here, very important. At least annually, the firm should obtain written confirmation of compliance with its policies and procedures on independence from all firm personnel required to be independent in terms of requirements of the code. Nothing but once in every year, at least once in every year, the firm should get a written statement from all its staff that they all are aware of the independent requirements and they have all complied with ethical requirements in all engagements. A written confirmation the firm should obtain from each and every person of that firm, at least once in a year. This is also suggested in SQC 1. So very, very important here. They might ask you in a true or false statements, at what duration you have to obtain written statement from the engagement members regarding the compliance with independence. At least annually. Not, they will say half yearly, quarterly they will say, but correct answer is annually. So at least annually, the firm should obtain written confirmation of compliance with its policies and procedures on independence from all firm personnel who are required to be independent. And special emphasis you have to put in familiarity threat. So there are various threats to independence. Those threats also once again we'll discuss in the professional ethics, but at the CA inter level also you have read it. There will be various kinds of threats like self-interest threat, self-review threat, advocacy threat, familiarity threat, and also the last one, intimidation threat. Different kinds of threats will be there. If you don't remember also, don't worry, in professional ethics chapter I will teach you. But here they say that when you are conducting any engagement, more attention you have to pay for familiarity threat. Sir, when familiarity threat will be developed? When the client and auditor both are having, when the client and practitioner both are having some close personal relationship. Like as I've told, the relative of a partner is a top level management, or you are continuously acting as a auditor for the client for the last 10-15 years. That means you have developed a close personal relationship. So whenever there is a relationship between the client and the auditor, that we call it as familiarity threat. And SQC 1 specifically says more attention should be paid by the auditor to the familiarity threat. So using the same senior personal or assurance engagements over a prolonged period may impair the quality of the performance of the engagement. If you send the same engagement team for the same audit for a longer period of time, same engagement team is doing the audit of the same client for the last 10-15 years, more chances that they become more familiar, they become more friendly with the client, and independence might be compromised. Therefore, the firm should establish criteria for determining the need for safeguards to address this threat. So that's why the firm should have proper safeguards. Like what kind of safeguards they can implement? Engagement team, they have to change frequently. Every 2 years, change the engagement team for that client. So these kind of safeguards they have to implement. In determining appropriate criteria, the firm considers such matters as what is the nature of the engagement that you are providing and what is the length of service. What kind of engagement you are providing, for how long you are providing the same service with the same stuff, all this they will consider and change the responsibilities. Nothing but rotation concept. Even under the Companies Act also we have rotation concept. You have to change the auditors after 1 or 2 consecutive years or 5 years. So why do you think that rotation concept has come under Companies Act? Completely to avoid the familiarity threat. So if you did not understand the familiarity threat in a detailed manner, don't worry about it. I will teach you in a detailed manner in the professional ethics chapter. But I think you should remember this basic discussion from the CA inter level. Even if you don't also, no worries. Clear? So these kind of policies and procedures should be implemented when it comes to ethical requirements. Now, third area in which you need to have policies and procedures, what is that? Acceptance and continuation of client relationship. Let us see what do they say. Acceptance and continuation of client relationship and specific engagements. A firm, before accepting an engagement, should acquire vital information. Before you say yes to the client for any engagement, you have to obtain some important information regarding the client. Some of the examples of the information could be integrity of the client, promoters and key manager person, honesty of the top level manager, promoters, etc. Competence, do you have enough of capability, time and resources to perform the engagement, and even whether you will be able to comply with ethical requirements. These are the basic information which you have to obtain before you say yes to the engagement. The firm should obtain such information as it considers necessary in the circumstances before accepting an engagement with a new client, when deciding whether to continue an existing engagement, and when considering accepting a new engagement with the existing client. This is what I have tried to summarize in the explanation. So when we will take a decision regarding acceptance, when a new client is coming to you and asking you to do some engagement, then we have to take a decision regarding acceptance. Similarly, when an existing client only coming to us and asking us to do new engagement, this is what. When existing client is asking us to do new engagement, then also we'll take a decision regarding acceptance. When existing client is asking us to do the existing engagement only, then we have to take a decision regarding continuation. So whatever it is, whenever you are taking this decision like acceptance or continuing the client relationship, you have to get some important information regarding the client. Next one, where issues have been identified and the firm decides to accept or continue the client relationship or a specific engagement, it should document how the issues were resolved. Like for example, assume that in some cases what will happen is, before you say yes to the client relationship, you have evaluated the factors. Like for example, you are the firm ABC and Co. One day a client has come to you, X Limited, a client has come to you and asked you to do the audit for them. At the beginning, when you are evaluating, you found that you don't have enough of capability. You are not competent enough to complete this audit. But still, what has happened is you have agreed to recruit some people on part-time basis, especially to complete this audit assignment. You have planned to recruit the part-time staff exclusively for the purpose of this engagement. So by recruiting this part-time staff, you wanted to complete this audit. So that's why you have accepted it. That means you found some issue, but still you have accepted. How you have resolved it? You found an issue regarding acceptance of this client relationship, but still you have accepted it. How did you resolve this? You resolved it by appointing by going for part-time employees. So like this, if you face any issue, if any issue has been identified, but still if the firm has accepted or continued the client relationship, you have to include in your documentation how you have resolved that issue. Like in this example only, I'm able to see you found that you are not competent, but still you accepted. How you resolve that matter? By going for part-time staff. Clear? So like this, you have to document how you resolve that issue. And I'm telling you, you need to obtain information regarding client's integrity. You have to get information regarding whether the client is competent or not, promoters are having integrity or not, top level management are honest persons or not. You have to know this. Sir, how I will come to know about the integrity of my client? How I will come to know whether my client is honest person or dishonest person? How will I come to know? By using some information. What kind of matters I will consider in deciding whether my client is having integrity or not? So if you see here, the identity and business reputation of the client's principal owners, key managers, related parties, and those charged with governance. What is the identity of the top level management? What kind of reputation the top level managers are having among the industry? That I have to pay attention. The nature of client's operations, including its business practices. Even I have to pay attention what operations the client is doing. What kind of business practices they are having. Information concerning attitude of the client's principal owners. What kind of attitude the top level management of the client is having. Whether the client is aggressively concerned with maintaining the firm's fee as low as possible. Is the client is always focusing on reducing the fees of the auditor? Then they are not having good intention. If the client has to be honest, they should be ready to pay good amount of fees to the auditor. If you pay good amount of fees to the auditor, then only he will he will do the audit in a proper manner. So if the client is always insisting on paying less fees to the auditor, that means they don't want the audit to happen effectively. That itself shows that they are not honest people. So this also you have to pay attention. And also indications of inappropriate limitation in the scope of work. Is the client putting unnecessary restriction on your scope? Indication that the client might be involved in money laundering. Do you have any indication that your client has been involved in money laundering or other criminal activities? Or the reason for the proposed appointment of the firm and non-reappointment of the previous firm. In case if you are replacing another auditor, you should understand the reasons why they did not reappoint the previous auditor. Might be previous auditor raises some serious concerns about the management. That's why they might have removed him. So consider all these factors. Then you determine is the client is honest or not. So before you accept and continue the client relationship, you have to determine integrity of the clients, promoters, and key managerial person. Sir, how I will decide whether my client is honest, whether my client is having integrity or not? How I can decide? By considering these many factors. So all these factors you have to consider and then determine whether the client is having integrity or not. Similarly, you told that before you say yes to the engagement, you have to check your competence, capability. Sir, what factors I will consider in determining whether I am capable or not? Let us see. Matters that the firm considers in determining whether the firm has the capabilities, competence, time and resources to undertake an engagement. On what basis I will decide, sir, whether I am competent or not? So it will be decided on the basis of firm's personnel having knowledge of relevant industries or subject matter. How far your staff is having knowledge of the industry. Firm's personnel having experience with relevant regulatory and reporting requirements or the ability to gain the necessary skills. Did your staff have already involved in these kind of laws and regulations earlier? The firm has sufficient personnel with necessary capabilities, or your staff are properly trained. Experts, do you have access to the experts if needed? Individuals meeting the criteria and eligibility requirements to perform engagement quality control review. So what is this quality control review? We will read it in the next point. As I've already told, is there a proper control review mechanism? Are there suitable people in your firm to do that review? And the firm would be able to complete the audit within the reporting deadline. Is your firm will be able to complete the audit within the timeline? So all these factors you will consider. Then you will determine as a firm, am I capable enough to do this audit or engagement? Then conflict of interest between the firm and the client. Sometimes there will be differences between the firm and the client. Then what I should do? Let us see. If there is any conflict of interest between the firm and the client, it should be properly resolved before accepting the engagement. If there is any conflict of interest, if there is any conflict arising between auditor and the client, even before you accept the audit only, that conflict should be resolved, that issue should be sorted. Then only you accept the audit. Where the firm obtains information that would have caused it to decline an engagement if that information has been obtained earlier. That means you accepted an audit. You are an auditor as a firm. You accepted some engagement. But after accepting the engagement, you came to know about certain information. And you are feeling that if you came to know about this information when you are accepting the audit when you are accepting the audit only, you would not have said yes. So if you read it slowly, the sentence where the firm obtains information that would have caused it to decline an engagement. If that information has been obtained earlier, policies and procedures on the continuation of the engagement and the client relationship should include consideration of. That means if you came to know after accepting the audit, if you came to know about some fact and you are feeling that had I known this fact earlier, I would not have accepted the audit only. then you will be in a dilemma whether I should continue this audit now or not. Now I got to know about new information. Have I known this information earlier, I would not have accepted this engagement only. Such a information you came to know about it now. Now you will be in a dilemma whether I can continue the engagement or not. In those circumstances, what you have to do? In those circumstances, what you have to do is the professional and legal responsibilities that apply to the circumstances, including whether there is a requirement for the firm to report to the persons or the persons to report the person or persons who made the appointment, or in some cases to regulatory authorities. If you come across these kind of typical circumstances, determine as a part of this engagement, is there any professional responsibility on you to communicate about this matter to the people who have appointed you, or is there any responsibility to communicate this matter to the regulatory authorities? That you determine. And in case if you feel that withdrawal is a suitable option, then check whether there is a possibility of withdrawal from the engagement. And in some cases, not just withdrawing from the engagement, you might be required to withdraw from entire client relationship. See, you should understand difference between withdrawing from the engagement, withdrawing from the client relationship. Take for example, there is a client X Limited. There is a client X Limited. For this client, you are doing two audit engagements. One is tax audit you are doing, other one is company audit you are doing. For example, while doing tax audit, you came to know about certain fact. And you are feeling that if this fact I came to know about it earlier, I would not have accepted this audit only. Then you might feel that it will not be suitable for you to continue this engagement any longer. Then what you can do is withdraw from this engagement. In some extreme circumstances, you will feel that it is not at all suitable for me to continue the relationship with the client only. That means if you feel that continuing the relationship with this client is not suitable, you will withdraw from the engagement of tax audit also. You will withdraw from the engagement of company audit also. So it depends whether it will be suitable for you to withdraw only from the engagement, or it will be suitable for you to withdraw from the entire client relationship. That you have to determine it. Next one, policies and procedures on withdrawal from an engagement or from both the engagement and the client relationship should include the following. That means if you have decided, so if at all you get to know about any extra information, and if you are feeling that okay, because of this event I have to withdraw from the audit, if you have finally decided to withdraw from the audit, then also some policies you should have. Like what? Discuss with the appropriate level of the client's management and those charged with governance regarding the appropriate action that the firm might take based on relevant facts and circumstances. Nothing but if you have finally decided to withdraw, discuss with the appropriate level of the management. So these circumstances I am coming across, I think it will be suitable for me to withdraw. Discuss with the concerned level of management. If the firm determines that it is appropriate to withdraw, discuss with the appropriate level of client's management and those charged with governance withdrawal from the engagement or both from engagement and client relationship and reasons for the withdrawal. Nothing but if you finally decided to withdraw, first have a discussion. Sir, these circumstances I am coming across, very trouble I am facing, I wanted to withdraw. Sometimes what will happen is when you discuss with the management, they will resolve that issue and you can continue. But in some cases, even after discussing with the appropriate level of management also, still you feel that it is suitable for you to withdraw. If that is the case, tell the management and those charged with governance, sir, because of so and so reasons I am withdrawing. Next one, consider whether there is any professional, regulatory or legal requirement for the firm to remain in place or for the firm to report the withdrawal from the engagement from the engagement and also client relationship together with reasons for the withdrawal to regulatory authorities. That means in some cases, communicating with the management and those charged with governance alone will not be enough. In some engagements, you might be even required to report to the regulatory authorities also the reasons for your withdrawal. Like in the case of banking company, if you are withdrawing, not just communicating with the management will be enough. You have to communicate with RBI as well. So in certain circumstances, if you are withdrawing, just communicating with the management and those charged with governance alone will not be enough. You might be required to report to regulatory authorities. Check whether there is any such requirement. If it exists, even report to that regulatory authorities as well. And even finally, document significant issues, consultation, conclusion, and the basis for the conclusion. So on what basis you have taken all the above decisions, what decisions you have taken, all that you have to document it also. So these are all the various policies which you have to follow while accepting and continuing the client relationship. So let us make one summary. Let us quickly go through what is the things we have discussed till now. So first thing they are telling, before accepting or continuing client relationship, you have to obtain vital information. What vital information you have to obtain? Integrity, competence, capability, and how you can check. For example, if you have identified any issue, but still if you have continued or accepted the audit, you have to document how you have resolved that issue. Sir, you are telling to obtain information regarding integrity of the client, but how can I get to know about it? Various factors you have to consider. So what factors you have to consider? That list they have given here. The factors like identity and business reputation of the client's owners, nature of client's operations, And also information concerning attitude of the client's owners. Is the client aggressively concerned with maintaining the firm's fee as low as possible? Is he putting any limitation on your work? Is he involved in any money laundering transaction? What are the reasons why the previous auditor was not reappointed? Similarly, you have to check whether the firm is competent enough to complete the audit or not. Sir, how can I decide what matters I will consider in taking that decision? Number one, you have to check whether your staff is having knowledge of relevant industry, whether your firm is having experience with relevant legal and regulatory requirements. Is your firm having sufficient number of person? Do you have enough of number of people? Experts are there if needed, and are the individuals meeting the eligibility criteria to perform the engagements? Will you be able to complete the audit within the reporting deadline? All this you have to consider. Now, if there is any conflict of interest between you and the client, that should be resolved before accepting engagement only. And in some cases, and you might obtain information which, if you feel that have I obtained this information earlier, I would not have accepted the audit only, then what you will do? Determine, is there any professional responsibility to communicate this matter with the persons who have appointed you or to the regulatory authorities. And consider the possibility of withdrawal. If you have decided that withdrawal is appropriate, at the time of withdrawing also there is proper action, proper policies. Like first you have to discuss with the appropriate level of client's management. If after discussion also, if you still feel that withdrawal is appropriate, then you have to discuss the reasons for your withdrawal with the management and those charged with governance. In some cases, you might be required to report the reasons for your withdrawal with the regulatory authorities. Then you have to communicate with them as well. And finally, document all these things. Next one, human resources. As I have told, you will be able to do the audit in a qualitative manner. You will be able to do the audit that complies with the professional standards. Your audit will be complying with laws and regulations. Your report will be appropriate only when you have proper staff, proper human resources. So when it comes to your human resources also, there should be certain policies and procedures. Let us see what are there. The firm should establish policies and procedures designed to provide it with reasonable assurance that it has sufficient personnel with capabilities. That means whatever staff you are having, they should have capabilities, they should have competence, they should have commitment to the ethical principles necessary to perform its engagement in accordance with professional standards, regulatory requirements, and to issue proper reports. That means you should have some policies and procedures to make your staff more competent, more capable, more committed. So what kind of policies I should have regarding my human resources? At the time of recruitment only, I should follow some procedures. Recruiting only competent people. Don't give importance to recommendations. Compensation, give the compensation to those people who are competent enough. Training, you have to give them proper training. You have to provide opportunities for career development. Periodically, you have to assess that. You have to evaluate their performance. Are they doing the work in a proper manner or not? Periodically, you have to evaluate. Next, there should be emphasis on continuing professional development. As a firm, you should always focus on continuously developing the career of your staff. The firm should assign responsibility for each engagement to an engagement partner. For each and every engagement they are doing, there should be one engagement partner assigned. And the firm should establish policies and procedures requiring that the identity and role of the engagement partners are communicated to key members of the client's management and those charged with governance. As a firm, whoever engagement partner you have decided, you have to tell to the management and those charged with governance of the client, sir, this person will act as an engagement partner. This person will have these responsibilities. And also, the engagement partner has the appropriate capabilities, competence, and authority. Whomever you are making an engagement partner, that person himself should have proper capabilities, competence, and authority. And the responsibilities of engagement partner are clearly defined and communicated to that partner. You have to educate that engagement partner. This is your responsibility. This is what you are supposed to do. Each engagement team should be able to carry out its responsibility with necessary competence and skill. Once again, repeated point, nothing new here. Therefore, the firm should ensure suitable people are available and also groom them for their role. The firm should assess the performance of their partners and team members, keeping in mind their commitments toward quality. Repeated points they are telling. Okay, so finally, the summary is this. Whatever resources you are having, they should be competent enough, they should be capable enough, they should be properly trained, groomed, recruited properly, trained properly. That's it. Engagement performance. Now finally, when the engagement is getting performed, then also you should implement some policies and procedures. Let us see what are they. First thing, briefing of the engagement team. As I have told, you should not ask the engagement team to directly jump into the audit. You should give them a proper briefing. Consistency in quality of engagement performance is achieved through briefing of the engagement teams of their objectives. What are their objectives? What processes they have to follow for complying with the standards, what processes are there for engagement supervision and training, methods of reviewing the work. You have to even review the work, not just allocating the work to your engagement team. Even you have to review the work, whatever they are doing. So you should do proper briefing of the engagement team, about their objectives, about their roles, what processes they have to follow, how to review their work. So you have to give them proper briefing. Consultation in difficult or contentious matter. See, you should not leave all the difficult matters to your engagement team. If your engagement team, if any of your engagement team comes across any difficult problem, as an engagement partner, you have to pitch in and resolve that matter. So that consultation should be there. Consultation should take place in difficult or contentious matters pertaining to an engagement. Contentious means once again difficult, nothing changed, nothing different there. Consultation includes discussion at the appropriate professional level with individuals within the firm or outside of the firm who have specialized expertise to resolve a difficult or contentious matter. See, sometimes what will happen is while doing audit, you might come across very difficult matter. And to resolve this difficult matter, you don't have people capable inside the firm. Then you can take the help of outsiders. You can take another firm. Like for example, I'm conducting audit of IT company. This is the first time my firm is conducting audit of IT company. While conducting audit of IT company, revenue recognition is very difficult. So I want consultation. First, I will search in my firm, do I have qualified person who will give me guidance? If I don't anybody inside the firm, even I can go for external consultation also. I can call some senior firm whom I have good connections with. I can even take their help as well. But whatever it is, whenever there is a difficult or contentious matter, try to have a consultation regarding that. And a firm needing to consult externally, for example, a firm without appropriate internal resources may take advantage of advisory services provided by other firms or professional and regulatory bodies. Even ICA also will give guidance sometimes while doing the audit. If you come across any difficult matter, if you are unable to resolve it, even you can write to ICA. ICA also will help you. So like this, if required, even you can take the external consultation as well. And complete and proper documentation should be maintained on issues involved and the results of consultation. And you have to maintain proper documentation regarding which matter you have to consultation, what is the advice of that consultant, what is the outcome of that consultation. Everything should be included in your audit documentation. And as I have told, engagement quality control review also should happen. Sir, what is engagement quality control review? See here, I have given the meaning here. Engagement quality control reviewer, he is a partner or other person in the firm who should be a member of ICI, suitably qualified external person or a team made up of such individuals. Sir, who can conduct? First of all, what is engagement quality control review? As I have told, there will be engagement team. Engagement team first will do all the work related to one engagement. Just before they give the report, someone should verify whether this engagement team has done the work properly or not. That process we call it as engagement control quality review. Sir, who can conduct that review? Whoever is conducting that review of the engagement team's work, that person we call him as engagement quality control reviewer. Sir, who can conduct that engagement quality control review? That can be conducted by any of the partner in that firm, or that could be conducted by any other person who is member of ICI. Sometimes what will happen is in the engagement in the entire firm, you will have some qualified chartered accountants who are members of ICI, who are not partners but who are full-time employees in your firm. Even such a member of a ICI also can act as an engagement quality control reviewer. Or sometimes even you can take the help of external person, a partner from the another firm also you can take the help. Or sometimes in big firms, what will happen is there will be a suitable engagement quality control review team will be there. Like one partner, one paid assistant, one external person, like that. They will have a team who will conduct the review of the work of engagement team. So whatever it is, before expressing the opinion, before giving the report, someone should do that review process. That process we call it as engagement quality control review. And specifically in the case of listed companies, it is mandatory. As per SQC 1, in case if you are conducting audit of listed company, it is mandatory for engagement quality control review to happen. In rest of the audits, for other than audit of listed entities, it is up to the auditor's choice. The auditor himself can decide criteria. But in case if he is conducting audit of a listed entity, compulsorily engagement quality control review should happen. And who can be that reviewer? He could be any partner or any other person in the firm who should be a member of ICI, or sometimes suitably qualified external person, or sometimes a combination of all these people can create a team and they can conduct that review. And one more thing, in addition, the engagement quality control reviewer for an audit of the financial statements of a listed company should be an individual with sufficient and appropriate experience and authority to act as a audit engagement partner on audit of financial statements of listed entities. In case of audit of a listed entity, engagement quality control reviewer should also be a person who is qualified to act as a auditor of that listed company. Nothing but a practicing chartered accountant should be compulsorily a engagement quality control reviewer in the case of listed companies. Able to understand? Whereas in case of other than listed entity, need not be a practicing chartered accountant, just a chartered accountant will be enough to act as a engagement quality control reviewer for other than listed company. But in the case of a listed company, engagement quality control reviewer should have sufficient expertise and who should be having authority to act as a engagement partner of listed entities. That means compulsorily in the case of listed entity, a practicing chartered accountant only should act as a engagement quality control reviewer. See what they are telling about engagement quality control review now. Significant judgments made in the engagement should be reviewed by an engagement quality control reviewer for taking an objective before the report is issued. So finally, before after you have done the entire audit, but just before you give the report, someone should come and review that entire judgments made, whatever judgments, whatever decisions that are taken during this entire engagement, whether those decisions are all appropriate or not. Just before the report is given, someone should come and do that review. And the extent of the review depends on complexity of the engagement and the risk that the report might not be appropriate in the circumstances. Sir, how much amount of review you will do? You are telling engagement quality control review should happen. Should I do a very in-depth review or just overall review? That depends on complexity. If the audit is very, very complex, if the engagement is very, very complex, more in-depth review I will do. If the engagement is not that complex, overall review I will do. Next one. The review does not reduce the responsibility of engagement partner. See, even though the review is happening, ultimate responsibility will be with the engagement partner only. Engagement partner cannot simply shift the blame onto engagement quality control reviewer. If something has gone wrong in the audit, who has to face the consequences? Engagement partner. Can the engagement partner say, hey, why are you blaming me only? Engagement quality control reviewer has also reviewed my work. He did not find any mistake. Let me pass on the blame to engagement quality control reviewer. Can the engagement partner shift the blame onto engagement quality control reviewer? That can't happen. Even after engagement control quality review happens, ultimate responsibility will be there with engagement partner only. And engagement quality control review is mandatory for all audits of listed entities. In other engagements, the firm itself will devise criteria in which cases engagement quality control review will be required, in which cases it will not be required. That will be decided by the firm itself in other than listed companies. But in case of listed companies, it is compulsory. Sir, what specifically will be reviewed in the audit of listed companies? That also they have given here. Engagement quality control review for audit of financial statements of listed entities. An engagement quality control review for audit of financial statements of listed entities includes the consideration of following. That means when engagement quality control review is happening in the case of listed entities, the following things will be specifically verified. What are they? The engagement team's evaluation of firm's independence in relation to specific matter. That means the engagement quality control reviewer should specifically verify whether the engagement team has properly checked the independence requirements or not. That will be verified by the reviewer. Significant risk identified during the engagement and responses to that risk. So even the reviewer will verify what significant risk were identified, how they have responded to that. What judgments were made, particularly with respect to materiality and significant risk, how they have decided materiality, how they have decided significant risk, that will be verified by the reviewer. Whether appropriate consultation has taken place on matters involving differences of opinion or other difficult or contentious matters, and what are the conclusions arising from those consultations. Even the reviewer will verify in the case of difficult matters, consultation has taken place, what is the outcome of that consultation. The significance and disposition of corrected and uncorrected misstatements identified during the audit. So what misstatements you have identified? What is the outcome? How many are corrected? How many are uncorrected? If they are uncorrected, what is your decision regarding its materiality? The matters to be communicated to management and those charged with governance where applicable to regulatory bodies. Whether the engagement team has reported all the matters to management and those charged with governance, and in case if they are required to communicate anything to the regulatory bodies, have they communicated it? And whether working papers selected for review reflect the work performed, nothing but whether engagement team has maintained proper audit documentation or not, that also will be verified. And finally, whether the report given has been appropriate or not. So nothing but these are the points specifically verified by reviewer in the case of listed entity. Write it there, write it here. Points specifically verified by reviewer in the case of listed entity. These are the specific things which will be verified by engagement quality control reviewer in the audit of listed entities. Clear? So these are the points relating to. So a few more things are there regarding engagement performance. Difference of opinion. Sir, what is this difference of opinion? Let us see. See, sometimes what will happen is engagement partner will form one conclusion. Engagement partner will form one conclusion. Now, the work done by engagement team will be verified by engagement quality control reviewer. There might be difference of opinion between the two. I will tell you a typical example. For example, engagement team has done the audit. So I will tell you typical example of difference of opinion. So engagement team is there. Engagement team has done the audit of client X Limited. Now in this engagement team, engagement partner will be there. Engagement partner has decided that depending on whatever misstatements that he has identified, he found that misstatements as material and he decided that he will give qualified opinion. He will give qualified opinion that he has decided. But the work done by engagement team, that will be reviewed by engagement quality control reviewer, no? Now engagement quality control reviewer, after reviewing the work of the engagement team and all, he was of the view that here misstatement is not just material, here misstatement is material and also pervasive. That means engagement quality control reviewer is feeling that adverse opinion will be appropriate, whereas engagement partner is feeling that qualified opinion only will be appropriate. Here there is a difference of opinion between engagement quality control reviewer and the engagement partner. Both are having a difference of opinion. Then what should happen? Let us see what does SQC 1 say in this matter. There might be a difference of opinion within engagement team with those consulted and between the engagement partner and engagement quality control reviewer. Sometimes the difference of opinion could be between consultant and engagement partner also. I told in case of difficult or contentious matter, consultation will happen, no? Sometimes between the consultant and engagement partner, there could be difference of opinion. Sometimes there could be difference between engagement team and quality control reviewer. Sometimes there will be difference of opinion among the members of the engagement team. So like this, difference of opinion can happen among anybody. So if there is any difference of opinion, what should happen? So difference of opinion is quite common. Then in case of difference of opinion, the report should only be issued after resolution of such differences. After resolution, if there is any difference of opinion, that differences should be resolved before opinion could be given. Sir, what do you mean by resolving the differences? See here, as I have told, engagement quality control reviewer and engagement partner both are having difference of opinion. What they should do is both should sit together, discuss in a detailed manner, and both of them should come to one common conclusion. After they have come to the common conclusion, then only audit report has to be finalized. If there is any difference of opinion, first these differences should be resolved. Sir, how the differences will be resolved? Very simple. They both will sit together, come to one common conclusion, then the report has to be issued. Sometimes what will happen is they will not be able to come to common conclusion. They both try to sit together, discuss, but that differences is not sorting out. Then what should happen? Let us see. In case recommendations of engagement quality control reviewer are not accepted by the engagement partner and the matter is not resolved to reviewer satisfaction, then the matter should be resolved by following established procedure of the firm, like by consulting with another practitioner or firm or a professional or regulatory body. So this is what the typical scenario they are telling. So if both of them are not able to come to one common conclusion, then what will happen is every firm will have an established procedure. Every firm will have an established policy. For example, the firm's policy is, if there is any difference of opinion which is not getting resolved, we will take the help of another firm. We'll go to some another firm. So and so another firm we will go. Whatever that firm's partner says, that will be final. Or the firm might have a policy that in case of difference of opinion is not getting resolved, we will write a letter to ICI. Whatever ICI says, that we will follow. So like that, every firm will have an established procedure what needs to be done in case of difference of opinion is not getting resolved. So whatever established procedure of the firm is there, that has to be followed. Clear? So one thing is compulsory. If there is any difference of opinion between any of these persons, the opinion should be given only after resolution of differences. In case if the resolution of differences is not happening, then every firm will have an established procedure, like consulting another firm, consulting an expert, or consulting a regulatory body like ICI. So follow that established procedure, and whatever that principle says, that will be final. Next one. Next, engagement documentation. As I have told, when the engagement is getting performed, the engagement team should maintain perfect documentation. So the firm should establish policies and procedures for engagement teams to complete the assembly of final audit engagement files on a timely basis after the engagement reports have been finalized. So nothing but, see, at the time when the engagement is getting performed, documentation will be created. So documentation will be there. For example, engagement team contains 10 persons. Now each person will handle different work. So person one, first person has taken care of purchases. Now this person will have audit documentation relating to purchases. Another person has verified sales. That person will have audit documentation relating to sales. Another person has verified creditors. That person will have documentation regarding creditors. So like this, every person will have separate documentation. Generally, what will happen is once engagement gets completed, once report of the engagement is given, once engagement report is given, within suitable time from the engagement report, all the engagement team members should sit together, arrange all this documentation in a proper order, and keep it in one separate file. A properly organized documentation they have to do. This process we call it as assembly of final audit file. So during the course of audit, every person will have documentation, but that will be in an unorganized manner. But once a report has been given within a suitable time, this entire unorganized documentation should be properly arranged in one sequence. Duplicate document should be deleted. Everything should be arranged in one proper order. So that organization of the audit documentation should happen. That we call it as assembly of final audit file. And SQC 1 says that within 60 days, you have to complete that. From the date of the report, within 60 days, this assembly process should be completed. That arrangement, organizing in a proper manner, that entire assembly process should get completed within 60 days from the date of engagement report. So that is what they are trying to say here. Engagement files should be completed in not more than 60 days after the date of auditor's report in case of audit engagements, and in other cases within the limits appropriate to engagements. Generally in audit engagements, SQC 1 says within 60 days from the date of auditor's report, that assembly process should be completed. And one more thing here, when two or more different reports are issued in respect of the same subject matter information of the entity, the firm's policies and procedures relating to time limits for the assembly of final engagement file should be considered for each report as if it were a separate engagement. Now what is this point is, sometimes for the same subject matter, for the same information, two reports will be given, two different reports will be given. Report 1, report 2. So for example, report 1 was given on certain date. On 10th of April, this report was given. On 15th of April, this report was given. For the same subject matter, two reports are given. Now, whatever documentation regarding this report is there, this should be completed, this should be assembled within 60 days from this audit report date. Whatever engagement documentation regarding report 2 is there, that should be completed within 60 days from this report date. So what they are trying to say here, they give an example also. This may, for example, be the case where a firm issues audit report on a components of financial statements for group consolidation purposes, and at a subsequent date on the auditor's report on the same financial information for statutory purposes. So what is this is, take for example, there is a holding company, X Limited holding company is there. Now this holding company, Y Limited, is having one subsidiary. They are having one subsidiary. Now this subsidiary company's financial statements will be there. Now there is an auditor for this Y Limited financial statements. Now this auditor will give audit report, one audit report he will give on this financial statements. That will act as a confirmation for this holding company to prepare the consolidated financial statements. Holding company has to prepare consolidated financial statements, but they can't simply consolidate. They need some confirmation that these financial statements are correct. So first auditor has given one audit report on the subsidiary's financial statements as a confirmation so that this holding company can prepare the consolidated financial statements. So here subject matter is financial statements of subsidiary company. So on this subject matter, he has given one audit report for consolidation purposes. Now once again, for statutory purposes, as per the requirements of Companies Act, on the same financial statements, he has given another audit report as per the Companies Act 2013 for statutory purposes. So on the same subject matter, two reports are given. One report is for consolidation purposes, one report is for statutory purposes. Now, whatever audit documentation is there regarding this audit report relating to consolidation purposes, that documentation should be assembled within 60 days from this respective report. For example, for consolidation purposes, the audit report was given on 10th of May. From 10th of May, within 60 days, that consolidated reported audit documentation should be assembled. Now, for statutory purposes, the audit report was given on 15th of May. From 15th of May, within 60 days, engagement documentation relating to statutory purposes should be assembled. Clear? The same thing they try to say here. When two or more different reports are, once again I am reading this paragraph for your convenience. When two or more different purposes are issued in respect of same subject matter information of an entity, the firm's policies and procedures relating to time limits for assembly of final engagement files should be considered for each report as if it were a separate engagements. That's what even they try to say it in the example. And finally, policies and procedures should be designed to maintain confidentiality, safe custody, integrity, accessibility, and retrievability of engagement documentation. Whatever documentation that you have created, that should be kept confidential. That should not be given to anybody else just like that. That should be kept in safe custody. That should be kept in a proper place. That should be accessible. If you need it in the future, you should be able to access it. You should not store it somewhere where you will forget. In future, you will not know only where you have kept that documentation. In that way, you should not keep it. It should be accessible in the future. It should be retrievable in the future. In that manner, you have to maintain the documentation. Care should be taken that policies and procedures and documentation of the engagement quality control review should require documentation. That nothing but engagement quality control review will happen. No, regarding that engagement quality control review process also some documentation has to be maintained, like what? The procedures required by the firm's policies on engagement quality control review. That means what policy the firm has set when they are taking up assignment for engagement quality control review. For listed company, it is compulsory. For other than listed company, what is the criteria on the basis of which they are doing the engagement quality control review? That has to be documented. The engagement quality control review has been completed before the report is issued. In case if they have done the engagement quality control review, whether the review was completed before the report is issued or not, that you have to document. The reviewer is not aware of any unresolved matter that would cause the reviewer to believe that significant judgments the team has made and the conclusions they reached were not appropriate. That means even you should get a confirmation from the reviewer that he was satisfied, he was not aware of any unresolved matter, he did not become aware of any inappropriate decisions. So that confirmation reviewer has got, then only the audit report should be issued. So even that confirmation got by the reviewer also should be documented. So regarding engagement quality control review process, this information also should be included in the engagement documentation. So documentation I am preparing, who is the owner of the documentation? For example, I'm an audit firm. Okay. So there is an audit firm, ABC and Co. ABC and Co audit firm is there. This firm has conducted the audit of the client X Limited. As a part of this audit, documentation was prepared. One engagement documentation, one file is there which contain the documentation. Now this documentation is whose property? This documentation contains client's information. It is whose property? Even though this documentation contains the client's information, engagement documentation is the property of the auditor. Who is the owner of this documentation? Auditor is the owner of the documentation. In case if the client is asking the copies of documentation, okay, this documentation is the property of the auditor. If the client is asking the copies of the documentation, do you think the auditor is under an obligation to share the copies of the documentation to the client? Never. There is no compulsion on the auditor to share the copies of documentation to the client. It is completely at his discretion. Since it is his ownership, the standard has given him complete ownership to the auditor. See, this is your property. Documentation is your property. It is up to your choice. If you want to give it, you give it. If you don't want to give it, don't give it. Unless there is a legal or regulatory requirement. If there is a legal or regulatory requirement, then you have to share. But other than legal and regulatory requirement, there is no compulsion on you to share the documentation with the others, not even the client. It is completely your choice. It is completely at your discretion. If you want to share it, you share it. If you don't want to share it, don't share it. It is completely exclusive ownership of auditor only. That's what even they have told us here. Just a minute. So unless otherwise specified by law or regulation, engagement documentation is the property of the firm. It is completely the property of the firm. Next, the firm may at its discretion, the firm may at its choice make portions or extracts from the engagement documentation available to clients, provided such a disclosure does not undermine the validity of the work performed, or in the case of assurance engagement, the independence of the firm or its personnel. That means the firm at its choice, if you want to share the documentation with the clients, they should share, they can share it only when they are satisfied that this will not make our work invalid. See, sometimes what will happen is you will do the work, you will maintain documentation. Now, if you want to share that client, if you want to share the documentation to the client, you can do it. But before that, please check that by sharing the work, will your work become invalidated? So why work will become invalidated is, see, your documentation will contain the approach, whatever you have followed for the audit. In some cases, if you share the documentation to the client will come to know how the work has been performed, and he will predict your audit for the next year. He will take all the precautions to make sure that next year you will not find out misstatement. So if you find such a risk is there, then even don't share it with the client also. Even if you have a choice, don't do it. if you feel that sharing the documentation will invalidate your work. So finally, it is your choice whether you want to share the documentation with the client or anybody else. Unless there is a legal or regulatory requirement, it is completely your choice whether you want to share the documentation or not. Even though it is your choice, please don't share in case if it will invalidate your work. That means if it will make your work not of any value, like as I've told. So if you share the documentation, if you believe that the client will come to know what approach you have followed for the audit, don't share it. Why? Because if he knows about it, next year he will take all the precautions to make sure that you will not find out any misstatement. But ultimately, it is your choice. No one can compel you. And retention of documentation. Sir, whatever documentation I am preparing, should I store it or can I throw it away? You should not throw it away after 1 or 2 years of audit. You have to store it in a proper condition for a certain period of time. How long, sir? 7 years you have to retain it. How long? 7 years you have to retain. So engagement documentation has to be retained for a period of time sufficient to permit those performing monitoring procedures to evaluate the firm's compliance with system of quality control, or for longer period if required by law or regulation. So first they are telling in a vague way. That means you have to maintain documentation for such a period of time which will help the people who are monitoring. See, if someone wants to check whether quality control policies and procedures are getting followed or not, so for that long, you have to maintain the documentation. Those people who are monitoring that system of quality control, they should have access to it, or for a longer period of time if required. See, in the first point, they did not say any specific time period. They are first telling it in a vague way. You should keep the documentation for so long that it will help the monitoring process. They have told it in a vague way. But in the next point, they told in the specific case of audit engagement, the retention period ordinarily is no shorter than 7 years. That means in case of audit engagements, for a minimum 7 years, you have to store the audit documentation from the date of auditor's report or from the date of group's audit report, whichever is later. From that date till a period of 7 years, you have to maintain that documentation in the case of audit. In other cases, it is up to your choice. You have to maintain the documentation for such period of time, which will help the monitoring process. Next one. Now, finally, the last area in which there should be some policies and procedures is monitoring. Nothing but whatever policies and procedures which the firm has implemented in all the above areas, whether they are getting implemented properly. I have to take a few completed engagements, review them, and come to a conclusion. Is there any requirement to make any changes to policies and procedures? The same thing they say that the firm should ensure that policies and procedures relating to system of quality control are relevant, they are adequate, whether they are operating effectively, are they complied, are they getting followed really in practice. Sir, how you will come to know whether policies and procedures are getting followed or not? Such policies and procedures should include an ongoing consideration and evaluation of firm system of quality control, including a periodic inspection of completed engagements. So whatever engagements you have completed, you have to take a sample of that engagement, do a periodical inspection. From that, you will come to know whatever policies the firm has set, whether they are practically getting implemented or not. So quality control of engagements has to be monitored taking into account the following factors. So what factors you have to keep in mind while doing the monitoring? Deciding whether quality control system of the firm has been appropriately designed and effectively implemented. Whatever quality control policies you have designed, are they properly designed and are they effectively getting implemented? That you have to monitor. Examine whether new developments in the professional standards, legal and regulatory requirements have been reflected. If at all any professional standards have undergone any amendments, whether suitably our policies and procedures are also amended or not, that we need to check. Conduct monitoring by entrusting responsibility of monitoring process to a partner or other persons with sufficient and appropriate experience and authority. So you should not give the monitoring work to some low-level staff. You should allocate that monitoring work to the partners or those people who have enough of experience. To those people, you have to allocate that monitoring work. Dealing with the complaints and allegations against the firm or any employees of it non-compliance with professional standards and appropriate regulatory authorities by a person within or outside the firm. Especially check whether there are any complaints raised by regulatory authorities that our firm or any of the persons in our firm did not comply with professional standards. If I get any complaint from the regulatory authority that so-and-so person in my firm did not comply with certain professional standards, that means my policies and procedures are inadequate. My quality control system is inadequate. I have to make some changes to it. And take appropriate remedial actions against the person who did not conform to quality control policies. As a part of the review, if you find that any one specific person is intentionally not complying with the policies and procedures, take suitable action. That could be even removing him from your firm. And taking action when deficiencies in the design or operations of the firm's system of quality control is identified or non-compliances are identified. And also, if you find any non-compliances, even try to take rectification actions. What else you can do? What you can change in that policies and procedures to make sure that going forward, the same non-compliances will not happen. So this is what the main purpose of monitoring. These are the things which you have to keep in mind for monitoring. Understood? So this is what SQC1 is all about. So what we have seen, this standard has been given how we can maintain quality in all kinds of engagements, and how we can get the confidence that we are doing the engagements as per professional standards, as per laws and regulations, and the reports are appropriate. In order to make sure that, we need to have some policies and procedures in 6 different areas. What kind of policies and procedures we should have in that 6 different areas, that also we have understood in a detailed manner. Now, with this understanding, we can complete essay 220 just in a span of 5 or 10 minutes. I want to complete this. I don't want to extend this further. Why? Because now only if you do it, we can complete in some 5 or 10 minutes. So as I've told, what is the difference between SQC1 and essay 220? SQC1 talks about maintaining quality control in all kinds of engagements. Essay 220 talks about maintaining quality control only in audit engagements. That's what you will be able to find out. What is the objective of essay 220? As per essay 220, the objective of the auditor is to implement quality control policies and procedures at the engagement level, not at the entire firm level. SQC1 talks about what policies the firm should have, what quality control system entire firm should have. But essay 220 talks about what kind of quality control system you should have at each audit engagement level. For every client, for every audit engagement, what quality control policies you should have. So that is one main difference. As you could see here, even if you look at the objective of SQC1, they say how you can maintain quality control at the overall firm level, they will say. See here, I wanted to show this. So if you see, it requires the firm should establish entire system of quality control. So overall firm, what kind of quality control process they should have. But essay 220 will say not at the overall firm level, at every audit engagement level, what kind of quality control system you should have to maintain quality in that specific audit engagement. That provides the auditor with reasonable assurance that whatever audit you are doing, that is complying with the professional standards, legal and regulatory requirements, and audit report issued is appropriate. Same like objectives of SQC1 only, but in SQC1 they say engagement, in essay 220 they say audit. Whatever audit you are doing, that is as per professional standards, as per legal and regulatory requirements, and whatever report that you are giving is appropriate. Sir, what will be elements of quality control? Same, the 6 elements. So essay 220 is modeled on lines of SQC1. It describes the responsibilities of engagement partner in relation to following matters. Nothing but you should have policies and procedures in 6 areas. What are the? Leadership responsibility, ethical requirements, acceptance and continuation of client relationship, assignment of engagement teams, nothing but human resources. There they say human resources, here just terminology has been changed. Assignment of engagement team. Engagement team means nothing but what? Your staff only know, human resources. And regarding engagement performance, regarding monitoring. Now, leadership responsibility. How you can fulfill the leadership responsibility for quality of audit. So who should come forward and take responsibility? Generally, for all kinds of engagement, SQC1 told the managing partners or CEOs, they should come forward and take the responsibility for every engagement. But when it particularly comes to audit, engagement partner should take the responsibility for maintaining quality in that particular audit. In an overall firm level, managing partner, CEO will take the leadership responsibility. But for one particular audit, engagement partner of that particular audit should take the leadership responsibility. That's what they say. Leadership responsibility of an engagement partner is to take responsibility for the overall quality of each audit engagement. For example, if I am conducting audit of X Limited, now maintaining responsibility for quality is for the engagement partner who has been allotted for this client X Limited. Similarly, if audit of Y Limited is getting conducted, whoever is acting as engagement partner for this audit engagement of Y Limited, that engagement partner should take the leadership responsibility. And the actions of the engagement partner and appropriate messages to other members of the engagement team in taking responsibility for overall quality on each audit engagement should emphasize. That means being an engagement partner, being a leader, either by way of your actions or either by way of your messages, you have to highlight some important information to your engagement team members. What do you have to highlight? The importance of audit quality. You have to tell your engagement team members how important it is to do the audit in a qualitative manner. And you have to highlight how important it is to do the work as per professional standards. How important it is to follow the policies and procedures, how important it is to issue the appropriate audit report, how important it is to ability to raise the concerns without fear of reprisal. Even as an engagement partner, being a leader, you have to create such a good environment in the firm where everybody will feel comfortable. If they have any doubt, they will feel comfortable to come and ask you for clarification. They should not have any fear. The engagement team member should not feel, hey, I'm having this doubt. If I go and ask the engagement partner, he will unnecessarily shout at me. Such a fear they should not have. Even if they have any doubt, they should be able to happily come to me and share their problem without any fear. Such a favorable environment also you have to create being a leader. And also you have to highlight that quality is essential in performing audit engagements. So summary of this is, being an engagement partner, you should take the leadership responsibility for maintaining quality. And how you can fulfill that leadership responsibility? By way of actions, by way of your communications. You have to highlight what you have to highlight: importance of maintaining quality, importance of complying with professional standards, importance of complying with policies and procedures, issuing the audit report that is appropriate, and the ability to raise concerns without any fear, and the fact that quality is essential. These things you have to highlight. Next, you have to comply with ethical requirements. This is common. The responsibilities of engagement partner in relation to ethical requirements are: identify threat to independence. If you find any threat to independence, as I have told, you should be able to eliminate or reduce it. And report to the engagement partner or to relevant persons in the firm to determine what they can do to eliminate that threat. Or in case if you are unable to eliminate the threat, you have to withdraw from the audit. This I have already told you. Along with that, you can also list down that 5 ethical requirements: integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and rigor, and professional behavior. And particularly, I have given here regarding independence. Nothing but if you find any threat to independence, you should try to eliminate it. If you are unable to eliminate it, withdraw from the audit. Next, acceptance and continuation of client relationship. Same paragraph. When you will accept a client relationship, when it is with a new client, and when you have to continue existing engagement with the existing client, there you will take a decision regarding continuation. When you have to accept a new engagement with an existing client, then you have to take a decision regarding acceptance. And while taking that decision, what factors you have to consider? Integrity, competence of your engagement team, compliance with ethical requirements, significant matters which have arisen during previous audit. Same paragraph. Assignment of your engagement team, nothing but human resources. So you have to make sure that your engagement team and also your experts should have proper competence, proper capabilities to perform the audit. Nothing but they should all be competent enough. Engagement performance. At the time of performing the engagement also, you should have proper responsibilities, like engagement partner has the responsibility for giving proper direction, supervision and performance of audit engagement in accordance with professional standards. So as an engagement partner, you have to direct them, you have to supervise your team members, you have to make sure that your engagement team is complying with all the professional standards. He is responsible for auditor's report. Finally, on the audit report, who will be responsible? Engagement partner will be ultimately responsible. You have to review the documentation also, whether your team is maintaining proper documentation or not. You have to review it. It has to be ensured that sufficient and appropriate audit evidence has been obtained. Nothing but whether all your engagement team has obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence or not. That also is whose responsibility? Engagement partner's responsibility. And if at all any difficult matters are there, proper consultation should be there. This we have anyhow seen in SQC 1 also. Next, monitoring. As I have told, just having the policies and procedures alone will not be enough. Even you have to monitor. That's what even they have. This point we have already seen in SQC 1. A summary of that will be here once again in SA 220. And then finally, documentation requirements. What and all you have to document as an engagement partner for the audit documentation of that client. What and all you have to document. So the engagement partner should document the following matters pertaining to an audit engagement. Issues identified with respect to compliance with ethical requirements, how they were resolved. Did you find any issue with compliance with ethical requirements? How did you resolve it? Conclusions on compliance with independence requirements, whether your firm and every engagement team member is complying with ethical requirements or not. That also you have to document. So how you have decided whether you can continue or accept the client relationship. Nothing but what factors you have concluded, what factors you have considered, what is your conclusion. What conclusions you have formed, what is the nature, scope and conclusions resulting from consultations undertaken during the course of audit. If you have made any consultation regarding difficult matters, what is the outcome of that consultations? Besides, the engagement quality control reviewer, in case if the engagement control quality review has taken place, that reviewer should document what procedures he has performed regarding the engagement team's work, whether the engagement quality control review has been completed on or before the date of auditor's report. Reviewer is not aware of any unresolved matter. Same paragraph, guys. Same paragraph we have seen in SQC 1 also. I have explained that to you. This one, where is that one? This one. Same, this paragraph has been repeated the SA 220 also. Clear? So more or less the same thing, just the difference is it talks at the overall engagements. SA 220 talks about only audit engagement. So if you read SA 220 in line with SQC 1, it will be damn simple, very simple standard. Then you will be able to find even one more table which is explaining differences between SQC 1 and SA 220. This you can refer it on your own. Understood? So with this, 95% of the standard has been done. 95% of the chapter is done. Balance 5% is there. This will try to complete in our next class. So 5% more content is there. This will try to complete in our next session. Will not take more than 15 minutes. So in the balance 15 minutes, we'll complete the remaining content here. Very limited content is there. This I will explain, and also we'll try to solve the question bank in our next class. With that, quality control chapter will get completed. Clear? So that's all for now, guys. Thanks for joining other than our usual times also. Thank you so much for that. So we'll see you in the next class. Bye everybody. Take care.